The world's smallest applause for the return of the Every FNFF podcast.
It was like 1,000 voices cried out in pain and suddenly silenced. Because we returned.
Yeah, that's right.
I was wondering, like, should we even call attention to it, or should we just be like, everything's normal? Because
so yesterday.
So last week, because the thing is, right now, obviously, very noticeable for those who are listening in real time. In the future, people who are listening like a year from now, probably not as obvious.
Probably not.
Except for the fact where we'll probably be like, I have no fucking idea what we were doing last time. I don't remember any of it.
If you've played FF8, you'll know about time compression, and we are just getting out of the effects of that. So yesterday was, in fact, 3 months ago.
Yeah. A lot of things that you might not realize this about Final Fantasy VIII, but much like everything in that game, it happens in real life. Exactly. Time compression exists.
Yes.
And what time compression actually is being like in your like mid-30s and schedules being a nightmare all the time.
That's what Ultimatia wants to do to everybody in the world, is put them in their mid-30s with a whole bunch of
a fate worse than death.
Also, I moved, so I've been very busy. I finally stopped having obligations as of last Friday.
Hey, listeners, adopt Alex's cat.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not Goose.
Not Goose.
Not Goose.
Don't you dare put hands on Goose.
Dare.
Yeah, I found, as I was moving out, we have found yet another cat who very much wanted to be an indoor cat. So now we're stuck with a cat who hates Goose. So
yeah. Needs a cat that more than likely will need to be a cat in a single cat household.
They are.
Won't stop us from trying, though.
Which puts me and my fiance out of the running to take in your sweet, sweet cat. And we could use it right now because we recently lost one of our cats. And it was also throughout the break of all of this. Not to be a downer as we're celebrating coming back, but...
I think the thing here is that your cats have very New Yevon and Youth League vibes. And so it's very difficult to have those two specific cats in the same area. Yeah. Whereas somebody with many cats like Carl may have more of like an Albed kind of like a Machine Brotherhood kind of.
Oh yeah,
Goose is more of a Machina machine faction because she's very good at digging up poops but not burying them.
We big prize.
We do have two cats that hate each other, but luckily our house is situated in a way where one of our cats can just live upstairs and the other cat can just be downstairs all the time. And
well, maybe if both of those cats were to see a large concert in the Thunder Plains in Chapter 4, they would learn to get along together. But we'll just have to see how that goes. But apropos of nothing, I'm Curtis.
I'm Carl.
And I'm Alex.
And we're back, baby!
The calm is over.
The calm is over.
I feel like we made a joke about the eternal calm at the beginning of the season, being like, it's finally over. And then this has been the most eternal calm of all of our seasons unintentionally. It's just been like...
it's been a month.
Yeah, true.
I thought it was longer, but thank God.
I feel like it feels like it's been longer, but...
Yeah, I had no idea. I said 3 months earlier because I was like, it feels about right. It's probably that.
It could have been. Who cares? I think the other important thing to bring up is that, part of the reason that we haven't been recording as much as well is because Curtis and I are no longer on speaking terms. We had a huge falling out. We actively hate each other. But luckily, through the magic of editing, Alex makes it sound like you would never guess that me and Curtis are constantly at one another's throats.
Alex, would you tell Carl that I appreciate the sentiment?
Hang on, I got to get my bucket of paint so I can draw a line down the center of the room and tell Curtis to stay on his side.
I'm going to keep you on separate monitors.
We're not on the same... I'm in a Discord call with Alex. Curtis is on Skype with Alex for some reason. Does Skype even exist anymore? Anyway.
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
Anyway, Final Fantasy X too, baby.
I think...
I got a comm sphere with your name on it.
Yeah. I think the most important important thing to take away from all this is that there are fiends pouring out of Besaid Temple, and we have to do something about it.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, the urgency has really come up in a big way in the game, so we should probably get right on that.
Agreed.
It says that Becklem from the Youth League wants to do something drastic, but Waka won't let him. Could be a fight. This is our first hotspot of this chapter, right?
Yes, I believe so. I'm sure that Becklem has like a level-headed, totally reasonable solution to fiends coming out of the temple. I'm looking forward to hearing him out.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
If they're cold, wait. If they're coming outside, never mind. If you're cold, they're cold. But yeah, we touched down in the slopes leading into. Can you decide where you land? I forget.
No, I think it just pops you at whatever designated save sphere it is.
The one where we met with the Aurochs before the Gunner's Gauntlet last time, just outside of Besaid proper.
Right, right. And the first thing we need to do is speak to Lulu, right? So we go into her.
Good advice for life, always. Always be talking to Lulu first.
Yeah. So we go into her house. She kind of explains what the deal is, and she actually seems like it's not that big of a deal at first, because she's kind of like, "Oh, Walker's in there fighting them. Like the Youth League and Walker in there taking care of the fiends. They probably got it under control. They have done this once before in a Final Fantasy X that you may have heard of." But, she says like, "Oh, Walker's getting old, whatever. There may be still some stragglers around. Why don't you go in there and help them mop up? You know what I mean? Just make sure that everything's all right."
Yeah, Buddy says the Gullwings are on the job. We'll even give you a special bargain price.
Yeah, Lulu says that's nice.
yeah. But yeah, on our way out, we see Shinra, who is taking half a blue sphere attached to like a gold plate and like putting it on the ground. He's like adjusting it on the ground.
Yeah, we've mentioned this before. I think during this chapter, every time we arrive in a location, we hear him squeak, squeak, squeak.
We hear his fucking dork ass clown shoes everywhere he goes.
Yeah, that's right.
He places it right in the middle of the floor in Bevelle.
Yeah, in Bevelle. That's right. That's right. No one will ever trip over this. It's fine.
This is the most inconspicuous place I could put it, is right outside the fucking gates in the center.
But this is the first time Shinra actually talks about it in I think a cutscene.
Yes, yeah. I do feel like putting it directly beside Waka and Lulu's house. It is kind of like me going to your house and then like in the living room, like right where the door, like the foyer is, just like placing a camera down and being like,
walkie-talkie.
Hey, it's cool. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, Unit talks to Shinra asking what he's up to, and he says, installing a comm sphere. You'll never know you might need a comm sphere.
Yeah.
That does not answer the question of what the fuck is a comm sphere, but thank you.
Yeah, Unit's like, a new invention of yours? And then you hear Brother's voice.
Yeah, what Brother says is so silly. He's like, because Brother can see and talk to Shinra from the other side of the comm sphere, and he goes, "Shinra, did you fall down and get a boo-boo?"
Was that like genuine concern, or was he making fun of him? I
like
to think that everyone
genuine,
hates Shinra as much as I do, so it would mean a lot to me if even the despicable Brother was getting one over on Shinra.
I feel like Brother doesn't have like genuine hate in his heart. Like he has annoyance and enough to be mean to people. Like he can be like, "I don't like that person. They seem dumb and stupid." But I don't know that he could like hate.
I think that he has genuine hate in his heart for anyone who might threaten his chances with Yuna, but we'll probably have to speak on that a little more later.
Yeah,
fair enough.
But Yuna comes close to the comm sphere, which is basically, I'm assuming, like a Nest doorbell.
Yeah,
like a ring or.
Oh, I can see Yuna. Huh? The comm sphere transmits an image back to the airship.
Oh, neat.
Oh, more.
When Yuna waves at it, Brother gets real excited.
Yeah, she waves and goes, more. And then from the back, Shinra just goes, "How asinine." It's so good.
I do like that Shinra describes, while he's doing all this, it's like, yeah, this is the perfect guinea pig. I guess he means the area or maybe Brother because Yuna's there. I'm not really sure. But more importantly, I like that guinea pigs exist in this universe as well.
Oh, you're right.
And they also serve the same purpose, which is horrifying lab experiments.
Yeah, experiments. Yeah.
Unethical lab experiments on them.
It probably just looks a little goofier like the dogs and cats in this world.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
that's true. That's a good point.
But Riku interrupts and says, "Hey, there's something happening over at the temple we might want to pay attention to, right?" and Becklem and Waka are outside arguing with each other.
Yeah, one of my favorite things in this scene too is something that I think you can notice the entire game, but there's just like a beer bottle just chilling outside of the tent, like right there, and it's like you can see it very clearly, like in the HD version at least, when Riku comes running up to talk to Yuna. It's like
little brewski.
Yeah, it's like someone left like a 40 of Old English on their stoop in South Philly, and it's like hell yeah.
But yeah, so Waka and Becklem are arguing, and we kind of overhear them. Becklem is saying that like, we need to burn down the temple. Like, there are fiends coming from the inside of the temple. We've been fighting them. They're not stopping. They're still coming. If we burn down the temple, we'll be done with it. We can just save everybody, right? And Waka's like, absolutely not. You can't just burn down the temple. It's important. And Becklem tries to like kind of guilt trip him into agreeing in the way that he's like, oh, so you don't care about the safety of your family, huh?
I guess you fucking hate your family and your pregnant wife or whatever. You want her to die to fiends. Yeah. It's like, settle the fuck down, asshole. Jesus Christ.
I know.
They could just close the door, I guess.
Yeah, just close the door. It's fine. Same thing. But Waka's not really hearing it, but I feel like
he says like, oh, all we got to do is stop the fiends, right? And he like runs inside to be like, okay, you need the fiends to stop coming. I'll stop the fiends. Problem solved.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and he runs in, and we run in after him. And Becklem's like at the top of the stairs where we would go into the cloister at trials, right? And like it's a lot of talk from Becklem for somebody who won't even go in there and fight him. Come on. You know what I mean? Like, Waka's trying.
Yeah, it would be so simple to burn this place down and take the fiends with it. Praying to them never did anyone any good.
Oh, yeah. He looks at the he like motions to the statues of the older summoners and stuff like that. And he says praying to them never did anyone any good. And then he says to Yuna, he's like, you're the one who ended up stopping Sin. You should know. And so he's kind of like trying to get Yuna on his side too, where he's like, yeah, you of all people should see that all of this is useless. Like, it didn't work for you. You had to get up and go fight Sin. And then Yuna doesn't answer him and just walks toward the cloister of trials, right? And he goes, hey, I'm not going to wait that much longer. I will burn this down soon. And
I'll burn it down with you in it, Lady Yuna. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, basically. And she turns around and just says, you want to see it burn that badly? And he goes, it's for the safety of the village. And the mission start screen comes up.
At least move the statues out. I was skimming FF10, and I think the statue of Braska is like only like 2 years old at this point.
Oh yeah, because it hasn't been that long since FF10.
Because like, oh, it's been 10 years since Lord Pasca became High Summoner, and we finally got a statue. Is like what happened. Like, in the last game.
So
they thought they'd have more time in the column, so they were like dragging their feet on it. They're like, we'll relax for like 3 years, and then we'll get started on the statue in 3 years.
They'll take a month off the podcast. It's fine.
Exactly. Yeah, it's perfectly reasonable and respectable.
Protect Besaid Temple. Fiends have appeared deep within the temple where Yuna first trained. Get rid of them before Becklem sets fire to the entire place. And I don't think there actually is a time limit, right?
No, it does sound like there's going to be like a timer at the top with like a flame,
This would be a very like
a long fuse that's like about to hit dynamite as you're like.
I feel like this would be a very good diegetic reason for another Gunner's Gauntlet, where it's like, all right, time's ticking, let's see you do it again.
Yeah.
It just makes you run through it. Like, I got 5 minutes to clear out the place.
But on the way down through the temple or through the cloister, we don't have to do any of the things that we did in FF10. So much like the other cloisters, like all the puzzles are solved. So we can just walk right through to where we would normally take the elevator down to the Chamber of Faith.
Spaces.
Yeah.
Dead Mall.
Oh, hell yeah. They still got the fucking Christmas decorations up, even though it's 7 months ago.
That's right. They'll only end up taking them down when it's time to put up the Halloween ones.
Yeah. More and more places have been doing that with all of their decorations, just not bothering taking them down. And I, for one, fucking love that because I hate feeling guilty about doing that myself. So I like go out and I'm like, oh, sick. They still have their Christmas trees up in fucking April. That's fine. I don't care.
Yeah, fine and good, actually.
We should keep Christmas lights up all year round. It looks nice.
But Waka is down there. He's by the elevator that like Titus. What do we call him? Titus or Titus?
I call him Titus.
Whatever.
But
all right.
You know who? Remember?
You know who? we've done an entire FF10 season and like half of an FF10-2 season, and I still can't decide whether I want to call him Titus.
We're just playing
or
both
Titus.
sides. It's fine.
I call him Thurston in mine.
That's right. Oh,
Tibus, I think. I
rest
called
in
him
peace,
mine.
Thurston.
Ship it in the Farplane.
But Waka is down there, and so he's injured, right? And they're like, "Oh my gosh, are you all right?" And he's okay, but our party is kind of like, "Hey, we should get you out of here." And then Payne's like, "Yeah, I think maybe he should use fire. Like, we should get you out of here." And then like maybe he should burn it down. And Waka says like, "Well, I think that maybe what's causing the fiends is just below us, and if we take that out, we'll get rid of all the fiends." And the party's like, "All right, well, fair enough." Even Payne's like, "Yeah, all right, that's a decent idea. Maybe we'll go down there and try that first."
I do like before that she just calls Becklum the man. She says, "The man was right. We have to use fire."
Yeah. Payne doesn't learn the
I don't
names
remember. The boy's name is Bart. I don't remember the name of the man.
Bar, what's the name of the man? Lulu shouts out there, "I'm not getting involved." So we end up
the general consensus is let's go down and kick the shit out of whatever is causing this. And Waka, you stay here. You got your ass kicked a little bit. And Riku says, "Wouldn't want you to overdo it, Daddy," which is cute because she's referring to the fact that he is going to be a father very soon.
Happy Father's Day.
Not in weird ways that the internet could take that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yesterday was Father's Day.
Oh yeah. Shout outs to a real one.
At least they're not teasing about his weight anymore, because right, they were doing that a lot in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, they're calling him Tubby.
Eternal Calm, trying to like really convince the viewer that they look any different than they did in the last game.
I also do
It's a meta commentary about how the HD actually looks worse than the original one, just with the weird upscaling that they did of the textures.
I do like that the boss at the end of chapter 2 was a dark version of Bahamut, right? And the game doesn't know when you do your hotspots. It doesn't know how many other missions you've done. So we've fought several Aeons at this point, right? Because of doing all the extra stuff. And the game doesn't know, though. So the party does need to be kind of surprised every time they fight an Aeon. They're like, "Whoa, it's an Aeon.
Yeah.
Who could have seen this coming?" Not knowing that like this is like the 5th time this has happened.
Yeah, I'm curious. I bet there's some like varying dialogue, because I think later in this chapter we actually see like an optional cutscene.
Oh,
involving the missing leaders of the different factions.
Okay.
And then later in the game, when we're actually playing a mandatory cutscene, like, "Oh, I wonder if they're still hanging out with so and so."
Yeah, they do say that. Yeah.
So I think that might be like an optional like line of dialogue. If
that may be so.
Maybe.
Yeah, when we get to, they mentioned that when we get to Djose. But yeah, so it's Dark Veil 4. Waka's like taken aback. He can't believe it. And the party tells him to stay back. Something isn't right. Right. And we get into a fight with Dark Veil 4.
It looks sick.
It looks sick. It's like really cool.
It does look really cool.
Dark Veil 4 got one energy ray off on me, and then I put him in the ground.
Yeah,
same.
And I have a screenshot of the energy ray hitting me, and it did like anywhere between 254 damage or 336 damage, depending on who got hit by it, which is nothing.
Nothing at this point.
At this point, it was just like, oh my god, I gotta wait for this fucking cutscene to end. Ugh.
I have my Yuna has Berserker equipped and has counter and magic counter on, so I'm always just like, yeah, attack Yuna, see what happens. It just does 1,000 damage back every time.
Yeah,
so,
hell yeah,
delightful.
My lineup is currently Riku as a gunner and Yuna as Black Mage, just because she's the strongest Black Mage currently. Because I wanted to get those chain bonuses on, like you mentioned with Trigger Happy, which is really fun. That and Pain still doing fighter, just like. It's just melting through them, especially I think she has Excalibur.
During this section, I did actually remove Dark Knight from Pain because she almost had mastered it, and I was like, it's too good of a situation to have Pain as a Dark Knight, and I don't want to just do battles and not be getting AP, so I will just save this for bosses later and make her do something else, even though it's like really good.
Yeah.
I don't want to not be getting AP, so let me switch to something else.
I still have plenty of stuff that Bane needs to learn as Dark Knight, so I have hers that I still have Yuna as Lady Luck or whatever, and Riku I just have as an alchemist or a thief because I've just been stealing as much gil as I can after I gave all of mine to Owaka. I have a screenshot here of getting Snake Eyes against Vale 4, where when you do that, it's like you would think you only get 2 chains. It's like, oh, how unlucky, but it hits 20 times.
Oh my god, really?
That's like the best you can hope for. You're just like, fuck yes. Like, it doesn't do a good chain bonus, but it does a fuck ton of damage.
Well, we do know that snakes in this world from when we were on Gagazet are actually just like guns whose like bodies are just
correct. Yeah, exactly.
A ton of ammunition trailing behind
them. So
the
snake eyes are the bullets.
Yeah, exactly. So you do more hits with that. Yeah, but Dark Veil 4 goes down pretty quick. It's not really too much of a challenge, especially if you've been like keeping up with the guide and getting everything along the way. Like maybe it would be more challenging if you didn't have as much equipment.
I am very interested to go through and just do like a story run where I only do the hot spots and I kind of stick to like just like Gunner for Yuna because it seems like that's the canonical thing for her, and just kind of do it that way and see how different these fights are. Because I can imagine that there could be situations where this would be pretty difficult. But I mean, if you're keeping up pace with the podcast and kind of following along our lead, like this fight was really not a problem.
That actually would be a very interesting experience. I mean, obviously there's like the speed run that does the minimum amount, but like it would be interesting to do it not as like speed run strats, but just as like survival strats.
Yeah.
Like just do the bare minimum. Because you would have black mage, you would have white mage and warrior, right? And all the stuff like that you begin with and everything. So like I think you could still do it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, this is such a dynamic battle system that I feel like it would be really interesting to kind of try that sort of stuff. Like that's what I'm kind of itching for. But I
think you would have, with the exception of Monk, I think you would have all of like the FF1 jobs. Yeah. Right? Which is like a full party worth of jobs. So I think you could do it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely like I just love like challenges like that and stuff.
Like, sure. And this game is like pretty short if you do it that way too, so it's not like something that's going to be another 20-hour playthrough or whatever.
I'm going to see if I can get like a PS2 emulator on my Steam Deck or something and maybe just play through it on that, because that would be really fun.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But we kill Vale 4, and Yuna says that, that was my very first Aeon. I grew up here in Besaid. This is my home. I became a summoner here. And then it kind of switches, I think, to like a closer up view of her, and
it's like inner monologue.
Inner monologuing, yeah, and says, "This is where I first met you," and then Yuna says to everyone, like, "I have to protect this place." Like she's thinking back to Titus, like, "Oh, this is where I met, you, so I have to protect it."
Yeah, because when we first met Yuna, she had just finished getting Vale 4.
Yeah,
we don't actually have to do that fight.
Right? Yeah. She's coming out of the temple. That's right.
And then she became a summoner.
But then we do
when we approach we come back into the temple proper, I guess, right?
Yeah.
The job's done.
I see. Glad to see you're not hurt. Or are you? Aren't you going to be a father soon? What if something had happened to you? What then?
Quiet, meanie!
It's okay.
The Gullwings are like ready to stand up for Waka or whatever. Yeah. It's like Beckham's being a dick to him, and Waka's like, nah, he's right though. like in some ways, like he is correct about that.
Yeah, he's got a point. Yeah. Riku is coming to his defense, and she's like, "Quiet, meanie."
Yeah. But Waka says like, no, actually, Beckham's correct. If we die trying to save one memory, we risk losing them all.
Riku says, but what if it's a really important memory?
Yeah. And Waka says, well, memories are nice, but that's all they are. It's an Al Bhed saying, yeah. And I was like,
that's cool.
Has that been said before? Is that the most made up on the spot bullshit I've ever heard? I can't.
Yeah. I mean, Riku like lends credence to it. She's like, well, yeah, but, and I'm just like, this is all a little too convenient.
That's a weak ass thing.
This gets Becklum. He gets away fucking scot-free on this one because he's like, oh, I really wanted to burn down this temple, and I'm trying really hard to convince him that that actually was a good idea, even though you have proven that that was fully unnecessary.
This is, I'm getting flashbacks to Waka's like, yeah, I'm sorry about your home getting exploded.
Yeah.
It's like, Waka, why are you always like, yeah, whatever. Like happy festival fireworks.
Yeah. Brother checks in on Yuna again, of course.
It's like, Yuna, are you all right? And she says, yeah, fine. Like, I'll be waiting.
Yeah.
Talk about a one-track mind, says Pain.
Fiends ever come out of the temple again, I may really have to burn it. And Yuna says, I guess so. But you can call me before you do. We'll save fire for our last resort. And Waka says, you got it. So it's like, you're going to listen to the dumbest motherfucker on the island and try and go with that? Like, come on.
But that is the end of that hotspot mission, and we are plopped back on the Celsius.
But we still have to go back to Besaid.
We need to go back to Besaid. But of course, we get our interim dialogue with Riku and Pain that I always enjoy seeing. And Riku, on the Celsius, she says, true, dying isn't a good way to preserve a memory, but still. And then if we talk to Pain, she says, I'm sorry that I suggested we burn down the temple. So this is nice. But we can go back to Besaid, and there is another mission here. And I think this is where the Besaid key comes in, isn't it?
Yeah, is this the one where you told us not to buy it?
Yeah, and then we ended up getting it at the Cavern of the Stolen Faith.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of Curtis's famous pins that has been placed that we may now.
Yeah, indeed. Let me go ahead and unpin that.
Yes.
So now that we actually have the Besaid key, we can use it to open a treasure chest inside the temple to get what's called a search sphere. And if we talk to like various people on the island, they kind of mention like, oh, you remember that cave you went to back in chapter 1. They don't say chapter 1, but the cave that we went to on Besaid. They're like, oh, apparently it has more secrets inside. Like, what could they be? And there's some talk of like spheres around the island, right? And in the room that we get the search sphere with the Besaid key, somebody says like, oh yeah, you can use that to look into Besaid and possibly find these spheres that have the code on it. So like walk around the island and try
There's
to find
a room inside the temple that there's like a guy sitting in, right? Who has the chest.
Yeah.
The search sphere.
Yeah.
He does tell you like, oh my, that's the key that should open the chest.
Right.
The search sphere only works on this island. If you leave Besaid, we will hold the sphere until you return.
I love the dialogue version of like the in-game mechanics of it. It's like, but it only works on Besaid. We'll hold it here for you if you leave. You'll just have to come back and get it if you come back for it.
This reminds me of like some of the new open world superhero games where you have kind of like a little radar and you're trying to like track down like, oh, where's this transmission coming from?
Okay.
So for this mechanic, we have now an antenna at the bottom of our screen that like kind of can show like it's almost like a Geiger counter, I guess. So we're trying to find like the sweet spot.
I saw it and I just thought this looks like a Winamp skin that you can put on it, where it's like it's got the EQ going.
So what's funny is that like you can't the how do I put this? The little radar mechanism is not telling you exactly where these spheres are. So what we're doing is we're looking for 4 spheres that are on the island that have a number engraved on them, right? Or like the numbers like floating inside of them. Yeah. And the actual radar points us to locations where we can use the sphere. Not the search sphere, not the actual locations where the code sphere is. So what you do is you get close enough to one, you press a button, I think it's like the B button or something, whatever it is for your controller. And you basically like go into a first person mode where you're looking around the island.
Unit digs up something, it seems like.
Is that what happens?
Yeah, she like reaches, you're basically
yeah, she digs up and it looks like a comm sphere almost. Or just any sphere, I guess, because they all look like that. But
maybe that's what happened. Maybe you're like, you dig up a comm sphere and then you're looking through the comm sphere using the search sphere. Because when you're in that first person mode, it does have like the VHS tracking, like
the grainy quality of the spheres that we've seen.
Yeah, but yeah, you look around the island and you're basically doing like a Where's Waldo looking for like a small sphere somewhere in it.
It's pretty fun. I like this.
The first one's in those collapsed homes behind like the hut that's a shop, I think, near the Crusaders.
Right. And like if you're
and that points to like a little hole on top of the temple that you see a little sphere that you have to zoom in on.
Right.
It's like where a statue would be, but there's no statue in there.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because like I do like when you first look through it, you're just looking into Besaid proper. Essentially, you see like the houses, you can see the temple in the background, and the thing is that like it's like a Where's Waldo. Somewhere in this screen is the thing that you need to look for, and you have multiple levels of zoom. So yeah, what you end up doing is like you said, you point it toward the temple, you zoom in several times, and you see in a little alcove there's like a little green orb poking out the side that has a number on it, and I think the numbers are all random too for people's playthroughs.
This one was a 6 for me. It's also in that like Besaid
it's canonically
font.
a 1.
Oh right, of course.
I wonder when
I got the bad RNG.
That's right.
I wonder when this code is like generated, because it corresponds to a keypad inside that cave, right?
Right.
So I'm wondering when is that code generated? I wonder in the game.
Yeah, like if you just knew what the code.
If you could brute force it.
Yeah, it's like, or if you could look into the files of the game and be like, oh, okay, this is the code.
I don't. The speedrun doesn't do this mission or whatever. Well, I guess the 100% run does, but. For the 100% run, when they do this one, and when they do the first code for Besaid Island, in all of those, they just get 3 of the numbers and then just guess the last one. Mm-hmm. They just start like starting from 0 and go up because it's actually faster to just sit there and do it.
Initially with the ciphers in my first playthrough of this on PS2, because I was just like, I think I can probably figure it out, and I think I brute forced it.
Right. But at least that lets you know that like the number is at least generated before you see the other ones, so it's going to be like at the latest when you see the first sphere. But probably
when you get the key, or is it when you open the chest, or is it like from when you first start a game? Like, is all this
right?
I'm always curious.
I guess there's a way to figure it out. You could like load your save there and just go to the search sphere twice and see what happens. But anyway, regardless, that's where the first one is.
Second one is basically right near the our save sphere, just like across the road,
right?
And that points to basically just a hill, right?
Yeah, it's just on top of a hill. The third one's kind of fun in the way that like you have it's on like that the gunner gauntlet path, and I like it because you do have to look all the way down, like the area.
Yeah, it's near the waterfall like area.
Yeah, it's like way out near the waterfall area.
It's on top of it's on top of it. No, it's like in the kind of
it's sand.
It's like under between like a tree and an edge of the cliff.
It like blends in really well with the palm tree that's there, because it's like the same color as the palm tree.
Hilariously, the last one is on top of a palm tree, which I love. That's funny.
Is this one in the area where T just gets pushed into the water?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I remember getting there and being like, "This is such a weird screen. Like, there's nothing here."
Yeah, why is it here?
And then it's like, oh, it makes sense now. I also do like that they have the dialogue where they're like, "Oh, this magical sphere only works on Besaid," because it's like, yeah, I would want to go to every fucking town and look around with this thing.
Yeah,
like,
through the search sphere.
Zelda game will let you do that.
Yeah. Just hit up on the C button.
But yeah, we can use those numbers to get into the cave. Or, well, not even into the cave. We can get into the cave anyway. But then if we take a right at the first fork in Besaid Cave, we get to another keypad that opens up, lets us go through a little bit more of the dungeon, which then takes us outside. There's not like it just like puts us outside.
It's on top of the cliff where the waterfalls are coming. It feels like we've like clipped into the level at a weird angle, and you're just kind of walking along this little skinny.
It feels like we're out of bounds almost.
Yeah,
like
nice.
I have no idea, like, because if you like walk away from the cliff like, at the wrong spot, you'll just end up going back to where you were.
Right.
There's no indication where the door is, because the map doesn't. The mini map doesn't show you anything about where you're walking.
Mm-hmm.
But up there, you follow the cliff edge and you find a new garment grid.
I think it's the Raging Giant.
Correct.
Garment grid. Which I will say, as the super special Besaid treasure that we had to go through like a bunch of weird mini games and shit to get, not worth it.
Yeah, it lets you use confusion or confuse, which I guess
confuse proof, berserk proof, confuse touch, and berserk touch.
If you go around the garment
not
grid.
not the best garment grid we found.
Yeah,
it does have the Iron Giant on the little card though, which is kind of nice, I guess.
I feel like that's the kind of equipment that you find on the main path, like on the side, where you're just like, oh, it's just a thing to get, whatever.
Yeah,
whatever.
That's a good point.
Who am I to complain? It was fun. I had a good time.
I do like that in this area when you're walking through Besaid, you can run into a Marlboro.
Really?
I
did not.
Extremely scary when it happens. I don't think I had too much of an issue with it, but I do have a screenshot of me. Maybe I just ran away from it, honestly. I can't quite remember, but it's... I'm like, oh, fuck.
I remember that. But that is it for Besaid Chapter 3, right?
We can leave Besaid forever until Chapter 5, yes.
Wow, okay.
Nice.
Next up, Kilika. Love that. Yo, there's fiends coming out of the temples. What?
Uh-oh.
I feel like we were just doing that.
Fiends site at Kilika Temple. The Youth League's got the woods closed off. You'll have to get past them somehow to get into the temple.
Yup.
It seems familiar, kind of. We're always sneaking through these woods.
I know.
Yeah.
But at first, the gates from the town to the woods are closed off, right? Like, we try to go out there.
Yeah, up the river or whatever.
Right.
I like that there are people around. When you first land, you just see a woman kind of like gesturing at nobody, and then there's a dog just barking at these people. This dog just won't stop barking, says a guy. So maybe the dog is also is also directing people.
Oh yeah, maybe so.
So good. There's an old lady who has one of my favorite things I've read in this game so far. When you talk to her, she says, "All these kids care about is their politicking. Don't even give a second thought to fishing." And I'm like, hell yeah, dude. I'd rather be fishing too, Granny.
It seems like a bumper sticker.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Sin fears me. Fish also fear me. Women fear me. I'm an unkillable god named Lady Yuna.
But yeah, so we can't get through to even get to the temple right now because it's entirely blocked off. Which I thought was a little lame because we're on the Youth League. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's a good point. I remember being like, oh, I wonder if like Alex has a different situation here because like,
oh yeah,
he has the different affiliation. But yeah, no, we're on the fucking Youth League. Like,
well, I guess we're not like in the Youth League, but like,
yeah, I guess they don't.
We should have good rapport at this point.
They use it for the political clout, but they're like, oh yeah, you can't come in.
Right. We spurned Caesar's Legion to do the NCR missions. We should be allowed to go into their headquarters. Come on. Anyway, but luckily we know somebody on the inside.
I'm just thinking of an edit of Big Iron, but it's a cover, but it's just Yuna with two guns.
But yeah, we know somebody on the inside, and it's Donna, our favorite hot dog.
Oh yeah.
I was watching somebody play Final Fantasy X on stream today before we started streaming, and I was like, one of my friends always says that Donna looks like a hot dog, and they were like, damn, she does look like a hot dog. All that mustard.
She's bunned up, yeah.
She's bunned up.
Yeah, it's weird having like a corset that only like hugs you from the sides.
Yeah. And then we also
her whole body.
It's a hell of a look.
We also discussed the fact that everybody's swimming and they're all wearing rubber all the time and how uncomfortable it would be, like we did in FF10. But anyway,
you get to just reuse all your old jokes to a new crowd.
Yeah.
It's like, hell yeah.
Just listen to one episode of the podcast and then type it all into the chat.
Yeah. There are also a bunch of treasure chests kind of just around Kilika that you can get that have like star curtains and antidotes, and I think so worth grabbing, but not really worth talking about in detail, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair.
I guess there's a new Youth League base being built right now.
Yeah, so we saw this the first time we came to Kilika, where the guy with the camera is like, "Oh, check it out! There, you can look over there," and they're saying that it's nearly done being built.
I guess I didn't pick up on that.
Kind of looks like the Temple of the Ancients or whatever, or the Forgotten City in Final Fantasy VII. It's like a giant seashell.
I guess I missed that.
But yeah, so we can visit Donna, and she's all my, what brings you here, kind of thing. And we explain like, hey, we're trying to get to the temple, and she says, oh, they're turning people away at the gate. Like, I can't get into the temple, nobody can get into the temple. And actually, the way she puts it, it kind of sounds like it's being barricaded by both sides, where she's like, I can't get into the temple because Yevon won't let me into the temple, but you won't be able to get into the temple because they're turning the Youth League is turning people away at the gate. So I guess it's like barred from both sides.
I guess that was that was their way of being like, doesn't matter which affiliation you have at this point, either way you're not getting in.
Right. And she kind of like says, we say, oh, we heard that there are fiends coming out of the temples. And she's like, yo, I wouldn't even know. There might not even be fiends coming out of the temples. I can't get over there. So who's to say?
Yeah.
And then she mentions, she's like, well, you know what? It's fine anyway, because this way I won't have to see Bartello. I don't want to have to see his like sully face, right?
Besides, it spares me from having to see that sulky face.
A sulky face, yeah.
And Rika's like, sulky face. Bartello, like, of course. He's with New Yevon, so naturally he's in the temple. But then it's really none of my business.
Yeah, and she tries to feign like she doesn't care, but then like after a moment of thinking about it, she's like, well, maybe I could figure out a way to get you all in. And she leaves the house, right? And then Riku's like, hey, I knew that she was worried about him.
Yeah, it's really cute.
Yeah. But
she's pretending to not be down bad, but she is down bad.
Right. So her plan is to go talk to one of the guards at the gate. So there's a large gate that we can't get through, and there are 2 guards. Her idea is I'll talk to one of the guards and distract them, and then while the other one is like using this large mechanism to like open the door, he won't be able to watch the gate either, and you can just make a beeline for it and run through, right?
Yeah,
and we'll just wait
you
for.
You can also go up to her roof and steal 2,000 gil from her, which I recommend.
You know what? After everything that she's put us through, I think she owes it to us.
We've earned it. We've earned 2,000 gil.
Are gil yen? Is that like 20 bucks?
I always kind of assume that's like $20.
It's like $20. I mean, she owes us $20.
I mean, it's less now with the exchange rate and the inflation and all that. But
yeah, what's
the new Yevon currency? It's old Yevon.
What's like a
currency?
What's like a medium tier restaurant that's all over the nation that everybody would know? Like a Red Lobster. Like
I think didn't Red Lobster just close down? I think
I think so.
I think they're bankrupt. Way to bring
it up.
A cheesecake factory. Is that too fancy?
Yeah, she owes us like breadsticks and fettuccine Alfredo from Olive Garden. Like at least after everything that she's put us through.
Breadsticks are free, right?
Well, but
or are they just endless?
Well, we got to get that sketty. Come on,
the eternal breadstick.
I haven't been to
the eternal breadsticks.
I haven't been to Olive Garden in years, but I feel like I was also at an Olive Garden like around the time of like the first recession of my lifetime. So like if they still had the breadsticks then, I would imagine they still have them now, but times are also really tough, so they probably fucking don't have that anymore.
Have you all ever been to a place called O'Charlie's?
No.
O'Charlie. Oh, is that the fake Chicago cheesecake place?
No, it's like I guess it's like a TGIF. Let me see here.
Oh yeah.
It looks like it's mostly like, what would you call that? The Mid-East? What the hell's that area called? Like not the Midwest, but like Kentucky, Ohio, Tennessee. Oh, that's Pennsylvania. That's like northern Pennsylvania.
Well, like the Louisiana Purchase, like the Rust Belt states kind of thing?
I guess so, yeah.
The Bible Belt.
Yeah, like the Bible Belt states. Anyway.
The Brisket Belt.
The point is...
that's the O'Charlie's Belt, I think, is what that's called.
So they're mostly found in the O'Charlie's Belt, obviously. But she owes us at least one California chicken salad at O'Charlie's.
Sounds good to me.
That's all I could think of that was like a medium tier that costs around $20. That's like good.
I really want to try O'Charlie's now.
Yeah, man.
Those chips look pretty good.
Is there any reason for us to go to my home state?
Where's the nearest one?
Yeah, where is the nearest one?
We can go to Virginia. Richmond.
Richmond, Virginia. It feels like it's forever away.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hike.
Tennessee.
Bit of a hike for what sounds to be a pretty mid dining experience.
We'll spend $20 just driving there.
I mean, I like it. Whenever I go back to...
I'm sure it's great. If it was around here, I'd be going there tonight, I'm sure. I just mean in terms of driving all the way to Virginia.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
you go to Assad's Hot Chicken instead. They just opened up and they're pretty affordable.
Damn, it really is all the way down in Richmond, Virginia. How far is that away?
Had some last night. Some of their tender sauce.
How do you get directions to a place when you click on it? Save nearby. There it is, directions. This is important.
You go to your sphere oscilla finder.
That is several like hours away from like the furthest south of any office that I have to go to for work. So
if we leave right now, we can get there.
Back.
Yeah, we can get there in 4 hours if we leave right now.
Yeah, I guess that's not the worst. I don't know. Driving like 2 hours to Baltimore feels like an eternity these days to me. So being like, all right, we're halfway there, halfway to O'Charlie's.
So you can go upstairs in Donna's house and get about the amount of gil that I assume would buy you the California chicken salad at the O'Charlie's in Richmond, Virginia. It's the short version of that tangent. So basically there's going to be a mini game, right? And for some reason we have like...
Rush the gate.
Yeah, rush the gate. We have multiple camera angles, none of which are like Yuna's perspective, which is an interesting choice.
Yeah.
But
I think we have 3 angles. Like there's one that's kind of viewing the left guard and the gate. There's one viewing kind of just Donna and the right guard that he's distracting to kind of keep an eye that he's not looking behind him, because sometimes he'll look over his shoulder to make sure that there's no fishy business happening.
Yeah. While Donna's
and then one from Yuna's perspective, which is kind of the whole stage without like right guard being visible.
While Donna's trying to distract that guard, he occasionally is like, he kind of like goes like, hey, hold on a second, and like looks back at the gate to make sure everything's all right.
The way she's talking is very animated, and she's like throwing her hands around and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I would probably listen to everything she said too. She seems to be talking very passionately. I'm sure it's really good, whatever she's saying.
You see, you require a high IQ to truly appreciate New Yevon.
But yeah, not too much going on. You just kind of change the camera angles. You can see if someone is going to be let in, and then you wait for the gate to be opened, and you look to make sure the guy's not looking, and then you hit A to rush the gate, and that's it.
It says we get one chance, so this is why we get a practice. But what happens if we fail?
That is a good question. I did not look into it, but I thought I wondered about it pretty heavily. I just assumed you would get a game over, and I didn't feel like going around and getting all the treasure chests again.
I think you still get through. I think there's just a little kerfluffle.
Maybe a fight.
You just get locked out of 100%, probably.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, maybe you have to fight them or something.
But if you don't fuck up and you do make it the first time, you get an item called Bushido Lore.
Don't know what that's for yet.
Indeed, because we don't have the Bushido skill. But let's just say that if you equip it, you can use Bushido skills, whatever they may be.
Oh, that's cool.
And then as we're running into the forest, Donna shouts at us. Because when we're running, they do notice that we got through or whatever. Yeah. They're like, hey, what are you doing? And we're like, oh, fuck. And so we like book
Payne's
it into
like, run. And the animation of Payne running after that, like panic running, is extremely funny because it's like she just fucking like zips across the screen, and it made me laugh very hard.
And Donna shouts after us as we run to the woods. She says like, what does she say? She says, there's a hidden path through the woods. Walk the treetops. And do you remember in chapter 1 of this game, I was like, no, I swear you have to get up on the treetops for this section of the game. And you all were like, what the fuck are you talking about? No, you don't. It turns out I was thinking of this chapter and not the chapter I had just played.
We do see some goons or maybe chimpanzees or something running across this log.
Yeah.
Chekhov's log.
I like remembered this entire like scene, and I was like recounting it when we were doing chapter 1, and I remember y'all being like, I don't remember that, and I was like, no, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And as I was playing it this time, I was like, oh, I was wrong. Now I see it.
Shit's on fire for some reason in the forest.
Shit is in fact on fire.
Don't know why, because we're not really near the temple.
I guess it's all the fiends.
Fiends are on fire?
Yeah, I guess it's just all the fighting. Like, the fiends have made their way into the woods, so they've been fighting them and setting shit on fire. I mean, listen, we all know from Besaid that the only way you can deal with a temple being full of fiends is with fire, so that makes sense to me.
They just started the fire in the woods instead of at the temple, which it'll get there eventually. It's fine.
They're like, this fucking town was destroyed once. It's fine. Let's just fucking start over. Kilika Part 3 will be fine. That'll be when it really takes off.
Yeah, is New Yevon just all about starting fires?
I'm looking at. I'm trying to find information on what happens when you fail, and I might just like boot up a save file and fail it on purpose.
And try it.
But I'm just seeing on an IGN wiki page, it just says this minigame can be frustrating, but it's much easier if you take the time to practice it before doing the real thing. And that's it. That's all they say about failing.
I do love a guide that's like, you should do a good job, and then you won't have a problem.
Perhaps you should use the practice that they offer you first.
Yeah.
I did the practice and I was like, I did not need to do that. I got it first try, and it's way more simple than they make it sound.
I should have looked up in the Ultimania, because I always have like flowcharts of like cause and effect with all these like weird little things. So
okay.
Maybe I'll look in that too. we see a little cutscene of like, people are running everywhere, so I guess people can't get out as well if the gates are closed.
Yeah.
And there's also gates like blocking every like checkpoint that throughout the woods, so we can't go forward, we can't go around either the side spurs or anything. And we can get random encounters, but eventually we just have to kind of like mash the action button underneath that log.
Yeah, and then eventually they'll. Actually, I don't even think you need to mash the button. I think if you just walk underneath
if you go in the three into the three locations and you see that they're blocked off, you see like the three cutscenes. Then when you're walking back, then there's like a little cutscene about them being like, Donna said, "Walk on the trees" or whatever, and then like you look up and see the obvious bridge that I saw the first time, and I was like, oh, that's probably what Donna was talking about, but I don't know how to get up there.
Yeah, I guess I thought I triggered a cutscene by interacting with it, but
I think it just happens if you exhaust all the paths.
I love like the weird like sudden rising of like cacophonous shouting every time you approach a gate, and then it just dies back down as soon as you're out of that cutscene.
But after we get through that area, we're able to go up to like the temple proper, and we actually get like a mission start here too.
I like that when the treetops spit us out at the top of the steps where we
indeed.
I thought that this was part of the cutscene, but you actually are supposed to, I guess, progress and jump down. Oh, right. Unless once again timed it in a weird way to make me think I was doing the action.
Yeah.
And you walk through. Yeah, you end up running through the whole area where we ended chapter 1.
Yeah,
and finally make it to the temple where we saw the goers.
Right.
This is our first time here in this game.
Yes, and we get a mission called Pest Control. Restore order by stamping out the Fiends coming from Kilika Temple. Objective, put a stop to the Fiends' rampage. And we're allowed to begin our onslaught.
Yeah.
Shinra takes no time installing a comm sphere.
He's putting that sphere in.
I'm well aware of the danger, but I wanted to install a comm sphere.
You know what? He knows what he likes. I respect that.
And Buddy says, don't you worry, I'll negotiate us a juicy fee.
I do love that.
We never see any of these fees.
Yeah.
What we get?
Yeah, we get nothing. We should have to steal from Donna.
Yeah, I'm just taking tips by using Pilfer Gil to steal like
money.
500 from each enemy that I have to fight. It's pretty sick.
What if Buddy's just a shitty negotiator and we always end up leaving before he can
we end up giving them money because he doesn't get it.
Yeah, we're like paying for a contract.
It's pay to play.
But yeah, so we go into the temple. We see a little like cutscene of Fiends like attacking the Bevelle soldiers, right? And it seems like the Bevelle soldiers are losing. Like they're not pushing back hard enough on them. They're not going to win this fight without us. And if we take the elevator down into the cloister proper, we see that like there are a bunch of like soldiers just laying around, right, who have like been defeated by the Fiends.
Also, all these giant weapons from New Yevon are here, right?
Yep.
Yeah, isn't the cutscene of the soldiers fighting the Fiends just them unloading with fucking like assault rifles? Yeah. I found that very funny.
It's really good.
Like those phantoms or whatever.
Yeah.
They're fighting the ghost that gives you
darkness on, and they're dead. Like they're not that big of a deal at all. Or I can just attack
darkness is so good.
Everyone like.
But yeah, so we go down there. There are soldiers kind of strewn about the place, including Bartello. Yeah, so he's down here. He's like laying on the floor, face down. And as soon as like Riku's like, "Oh my gosh, Bartello, are you all right?" He just says like, "I'll be okay." But he says, "We're holding them off somehow. They're coming from the inside, one after another. If the Fiends reach the town, they'll reach Donna." And Yuna's like, "Don't worry, they won't. Like we're gonna go ahead and take them out here." He says thanks, and Riku says, "Donna wants to see you. She didn't come right out and say it, but you can kind of tell." And he's like, "Oh, I want to see her too. Even if we believe different things, I'll always feel the same about her. The time of the summoners may have passed, but I will always be Donna's guardian. I live only to protect her." And he's like shouting this out loud, and then Payne's just like, "Oh, I cannot believe you're saying that with a straight face." Like, it's so embarrassing.
Did we mention that we fought a Deva before we meet Bartello?
No, because I didn't take any screenshots of it, so I forgot that it happened.
We fight a lot of them in this. So I forgot.
That's the main
order.
Puzzle of this. Also,
the main puzzle is the Deva enemy comes
I
down.
figured
we fight
out what happens when you fail the gate rushing mission. You do not get the Bushido lore. Because that's what I did, and I heard you guys saying that. I was like, oh, I guess I didn't take a screenshot of that. I don't remember that.
Oh,
So,
well.
how bad do I need that?
None.
Okay, good.
Then you don't need it.
Yeah, because there was no treasure chest there. It's literally just an alternate cutscene where I hit A immediately just now, and the gate is open, and you run through, and then you get spotted. And they're like, hey, and then that's when I was talking about where Pain has the really weird, run away, and like... Yeah, so
I guess
they don't really... You succeed at your goal, which is getting through the gate. So
once again, Carl has accidentally skipped a 100% thing, like not as severe as missing the hot spring scene.
Yeah, true.
That's right.
But yeah, that's stupid. It doesn't. There's no fail condition. It says like you only get one chance at it, which I guess you only get one chance at succeeding, but it doesn't tell you that you failed.
Per save file, I guess.
It's just like you get caught, but after you get through the gate, so you think like, oh, what does it matter?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I thought that was just the
You don't know
scene.
what you're missing.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But yeah, right after we talked to Bartello, we get in another fight with those demon enemies. Which again, if you have darkness, if you have like dark knights here, and you're just like throwing darkness out, nothing is anything. It's incredible. You're just doing damage.
Are the crypt enemies in this place too?
I think so. I think I fought one.
Yeah,
I know they're in Djose later, but I can't remember if they're here.
I think they might be in here as well. And yeah, these things suck.
Yeah, those things suck.
Those crazy bones are here.
Yeah. Crazy bones. Yeah.
But we talked to Bartello after this cutscene. It says when you defeat that fiend a minute ago, the blue flame went out. They must be controlling the flames that are blocking the passageway.
Yeah, and that's your like hint that... Well, I mean, like, it's not even a hint to do anything because you automatically get in the fights when you walk up to the flame, so...
Yeah.
Whatever. But the important part is, after that door...
There's 3 things in this room, and 3 of them are blue flames, and you have to interact with them.
And there's 2 things in the next room, one of which is a blue flame, and the other one is a dress sphere just sitting on the ground in the main pathway.
Oh yeah, easily missable.
Is it easily missable?
Right.
I mean, I almost missed it.
I guess it's not ultra big.
It's a very small, like a little glowing ball on the floor. Everything in this level is glowing.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Someone dropped like a little gobstopper there.
But it is the samurai dress sphere, which I think has the most natural attack strength of any dress sphere. I'm going to confirm that while you all say something.
Yeah, it's. I haven't played around with it much yet, but I really like the look of it. I did equip it to Pain because I'm sure that will be where I go after I max out the Dark Knight. But I really like that both Riku and Yuna, when they're in the samurai dress sphere, are using some of Auron's weapons from.
I didn't notice that. I was so ashamed that I didn't notice the like. Titus weapon for the warrior thing. I was like, I can't believe I didn't notice that. I should keep an eye out for these things. And then I just did not notice that it was Auron's weapon.
Yeah, Pain has a totally unique one.
Riku's
got his like main sword.
Yeah, Riku's wearing Auron's outfit pretty much, I think.
Wait, no, I was wrong. The Berserker, I think, has the most attack.
Yuna and Riku's weapons refer to Auron's blades.
I forget which one. Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. Yeah, it has the big angular, like it looks like a can opener at one end.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Super cool. But Riku's sword looks very familiar. It looks like the one I think I associate with Auron.
Yeah, it's like the main Auron.
Kind of long and slim.
The cutscene one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Warblade.
Samurai is second most. Berserker is most.
Nice. Yeah, Pain looks like she's just holding a field hockey stick or something.
That's true.
But yeah, so you get Bushido abilities with these, right? And there are like some decent ones. I find that I don't use them a lot, but one of the abilities they have is called like non-periel or something like that. I'm not really sure how you say that, but it doesn't have it on the fandom. Why doesn't it say what the skills are? Or am I just not looking at it correctly? Can't believe this. Here we go. Non-periel raises the user's strength and accuracy, and I always love a good like self-attack buff. And then there's one called No Fear that casts Shell and Protect. And I feel like if you have 2 turns in which to like buff yourself, casting Shell and Protect at the same time and raising your attack and your accuracy in one turn is like a really good way to quickly buff a character up to doing like insane damage. They do learn Zantetsu, so that's Odin's move, right? Or is that Yojimbo's move?
I remember that from Yojimbo's.
Yojimbo's? Who uses that? Okay.
I feel like it's usually an Odin move, maybe, but I can't.
Zantetsu Final Fantasy.
I think Yojimbo was just like the FF10 version of Odin, basically.
Yeah, you're right. Yep. Okay, yeah. So like Odin and Yojimbo can use Zantetsu. Or in some of them, Zanetsuken. But yeah, so there's like interesting attacks in here. There's like an attack called Sparkler and Fireworks, which does like an elemental damage to... Or, well, I think it's actually just damage. It just says damages one enemy, damages all enemies. So you can attack more than one enemy at a time. So, you know, I don't know. It's not the most interesting as far as skills go for Dress Spheres. I feel like it's pretty basic. But it has a lot of attack. So, with a lot of attack and self-buffs, I feel like that's all it needs to be good enough.
I think you get a plus 12 strength or something when you equip it, if I'm reading this correctly, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah. I guess there is one called Mirror of Equity. The lower your HP, the more damage you can do.
Oh, Red Tearstone.
That's cool. Nice. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, there's some cool stuff on there, but mostly it looks really cool and it does a lot of damage, and I think when Riku swings the sword is a very funny animation because it's like one-handing the Zweihander in Dark Souls before you have enough strength to wield it. And you do that like pitiful, like dragging swing along the ground. Yeah, she does like one of those and I'm like, yeah, cool. And then also does like, 2,000 damage or whatever. And it's sick as hell.
Yeah, it sounds pretty sick.
But that's Samurai and we just get it for free, baby. Right there on the ground.
Yeah, it looks like you can also buy the Bushido lore from Owaka's shop for 50,000 gil.
Oh, okay.
And it sells for 12,500 gil.
Not something you can buy and turn around.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a good scalpable item, I suppose.
But we enter the next chamber, the Chamber of the Faith, right?
The Chamber of the Faith. Indeed we do. And guess what? There's an Aeon there.
Oh my god, no way.
Oh my god.
Who could have seen this coming?
And it is Ifrit. This time, for Ifrit, I don't even have a picture of Ifrit doing Hellfire or whatever to me, because I just had a bunch of Dark Knights using Darkness the whole time, and I think it was like a 3-turn battle, so...
I actually got a game over on this battle. And I also do have screenshots of Ifrit using Hellfire on me, because it's very funny, because all of our characters just are in their default standing positions, but like whipping around in there. So I found that pretty funny. But again, much like we were talking about with Ixion, when he does that attack, it does like anywhere between...
We didn't talk about Ixion yet.
Or not Ixion. What was the one that we just fought? Valfor, whatever. It doesn't matter. Spoilers, I guess. But it only does between like 300 to 500 damage, depending on, and that shouldn't have been a problem, but I was getting a little greedy with the Pilfer Gil and with stealing, because you can get some pretty good loot from these if you steal. I've been using Sticky Fingers, which guarantees that you get the steal. And all of my characters had like 300. He had already used Hellfire or whatever it's called, so I was like, you know what? I'm probably in the clear. He used it again, and I was like, I am for sure dead. Like, I just have to do all that shit again, because there's not really a good save point on the way up here. Not that there really needs to be, because like you can just go all out and treat it like a boss fight that you want to win, instead of delaying the battle as long as you can and getting into a bad situation. But yeah, when I was actually like, he can kill me, I didn't have a problem, because I just put on accessories that like halved the fire damage that I would take as well.
Yeah, so we beat him.
He looks cool. He looks very cool.
He does look very cool. I do like his color palette's very good in this one.
He's like purple.
But yeah, the party takes notice that there's another large hole where the Faith was before.
The Faith hole.
This Faith hole, and we're teleported back to the Celsius, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Payne says another hole.
And then there's like a scene that happens automatically on the Celsius this time.
Everyone's pondering.
Everybody's pondering
the hole.
Thinking about holes.
But yeah, they're discussing it, and I like that. Like they mention that, like, oh, there's all these holes in the temples, and Shinra's like, oh, the fiends aren't coming from the temples, and everybody's like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, they're coming from the chambers of the faith, which is like a pretty good distinction. I do like that he like mentions like, oh, it's not the temples, it's specifically the chamber of the faith. He don't know. Well, they ask him, they're like, what does that mean? And he's like, I'm just a kid, I don't know.
I fucking hate him so much because that is such a snot-nosed ass fucking like, oh well,
why
it is. It's super annoying, but
Antarctica is actually a continent. Like shut the fuck up, nerd. You know what I meant.
But why did the shot of Shinra, like, first they like hold on him for like a few seconds too long?
I think that they're like building up that like he is going to say something like deep and incredible.
It's doing the vertigo like dolly zoom thing.
It is doing the dolly zoom on him. Yeah, I think he's supposed to like dolly zoom on him and then he's going to say something mind blowing, but he's like, oh.
I'm just a kid. I hate him. God, I hate him.
But
ain't I a stinker?
I think it's Yuna makes the comment that they're all connected, and at first everybody's like, oh, do you mean physically connected? And she's like, well, maybe, but I mean like deeper. There's some kind of like deeper connection to why all these holes are appearing in the chamber of the faith, right? And then a alarm goes off. Oh, wait, actually, before the alarm, Brother mentions, he's like, all connected. I wonder what it could mean. And he lifts one leg up into the air and then does like a bodybuilder flex in which he picks up his leg by the thigh.
And it's ridiculous looking. He's cradling his thigh. It's really
he's like cradling his thigh in his arms. And I love it. So.
The holes are connected?
Yes, but it's more than just that. Somehow I think there are deeper connections.
Oh, that is deep, Yuna.
I've gone from being a Brother stan to being like, ooh, what a weirdo, all the way back. I've done like an old school like past 255 and wrapped back down around to the negative numbers or whatever. I'm doing an overflow glitch on Brother.
I feel like if Shinra wasn't in this game, I would hate Brother a whole lot more, but I feel like I only have room in my heart for so much hate, and it is all dedicated specifically to Shinra.
He's very annoying. Especially after he goes to that other planet and then starts the Shinra Electric Power Company, apparently.
Yeah.
What a dick.
Mm-hmm, yep. Canon, by the way.
So the alarm goes off, and Buddy says, distress call from Djose Temple. And Brother says, Djose, is it Gipple? And Buddy says, looks like they could get into some trouble trying to clear out the fiends. Or, yeah, looks like they got into some trouble trying to clear out the themes. And Brother's like, right, here's the order. Gullwings, forget it. Let Gipple save himself.
Yeah, and then Riku's like, wait, what? And Brother says something in Albed, and I don't know what it is, but
it says Gipple gets all the action.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just let him die.
He says, give me a break.
Give me a break. Okay.
So, yeah.
Casablanca.
So yeah, and Yuna, Buddy asks Yuna, like, what do you think? And she goes, well, we'll just charge him a little bit more, but we should probably get down there.
I love Brother's pose. He's just in like the pilot seat, just fucking full relaxed mode, hands behind his head.
Or Buddy, yeah.
All stretched out.
Now, again, I'm not trying to like hype my man up too much, right? But like, this is an incredible Brother pose. Like, that's so sick.
Oh yeah. It looks like if he was holding a Pokeball, you would be like, this motherfucker's like the champion. Like,
yeah.
Holding his hand out that way.
I guess if you talk to Riku again, she says, Brother gets seriously competitive when it comes to Gipple. He's always looking to pick a fight.
Aw, he's jealous.
But then Brother says, just you forget about Gipple. And in Albed, he says, that backstabber stole my first crush. Life is so unfair.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Ah.
Interesting.
And now he's doing it again, maybe.
Yeah. But before we go to Djose Temple, we can go to Bevelle instead, which I don't know if there's any... Did anything tip us off that we should go to Bevelle?
The guide.
I don't think so, other than
beside the guide.
It says, looks like Inu Yevon's having some internal problems. No mission.
No mission.
But it's probably nothing the Gullwings should get involved in.
Yeah, nothing the Goldwing should get involved in. Don't worry about it. Like, don't even go here.
It sounds very suspicious.
Well, and then, like, you go here, and there's so much fucking plot in Bevelle that, like, you just never see if you don't think to go there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, do you guys want to speak on that? Because I didn't go.
Did you not go?
I didn't go. God damn it.
You didn't go. Okay, there's a lot there.
This is a big.
I was like, oh, we did this last. I also did a lot of this like out of order at like several weeks ago. So I was like, oh, I already did that. I've already been to Bevelle and did all this. Now I'm like, no, why do I keep doing this?
They literally do the end of the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's amazing.
Oh, holy shit.
But yeah, as we approach the main and I guess entrance, or is this before? I think this is right when we arrive in Bevelle. We see a small cup scene of some soldiers, some really handsomely well-bearded soldiers, I must say, conversing around the entrance. And lo and behold, above, creeping around the rooftops of Bevelle is...
the parapets.
Gipple himself.
Yeah.
He's creeping around in his cool purple pants.
So we get the... I mean, it's hard to tell. This thing is like, I can't believe... I would never have done this without like a guide telling me to do it, because what we want to do...
It doesn't feel like there's no like hint to where we're supposed to go.
There's no hint to go all the way back to the room where you fought Bahamut. And that's where you're supposed to go. You're supposed to do all of the dungeon all over again.
And change the lift mode to reach Bevelle Underground, like in the second chamber. Holy shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't take too long this time because we're not doing the weird puzzle to get the Dark Knight.
Or the ribbon or anything. Yeah, that's true.
You just have to make sure it can go up and down.
But, yeah, there's one scene on the way right before we get to...
first save sphere, I think, like this atrium, before we enter, like... whatever, the Chamber of the Faith or something like that. Before we enter like the deep underground that looks like deep ground.
You see Gipple leaving the room as you're entering it, and the party really quick is like, was that Gipple just now? We should chase him. But you need to be already like so far underground before you even see that. So, but anyway, eventually when we get to the room where we actually fought Bahamut at, the party kind of like stops and they look through that doorway, right? Like they don't enter the room, they kind of stop at the doorway to the Bahamut's chamber and they like peer in.
It's like the Dr. Xavier room.
Yeah.
Cerebro.
But so inside is Nuge and Barreleye, and they're both standing there like looking at each other like across the way, and Gipple walks in and Barreleye says, "You're late." Yeah, so you see the Gullwings are like, oh, that's where they are. Like this whole time they've been missing, right? Like no one's known where they are. And they're like, oh, here's where they've been talking to each other. And I don't even know how to like sum up this scene, so I'm literally just going to read the dialogue, because usually I like to go over it pretty quick. But Gipple says,
"Sure you should be here? The Youth League and New Yevon are crumbling without you guys to hold them together."
You expect too much.
Learn from us. So why we here?
There's something I needed to be sure of. Vegnagun is gone.
Listen to you. Vegnagun is gone. Are you trying to tell us that since that thing left on its own, Yevon's not to blame?
It's the truth. The thing's more sensitive than its size would lead one to believe. It detects hostility, and in an instant springs to life. Should one even think of harming it, it awakens like a frightened child.
You did your homework.
I've had 2 years.
and they're like pacing around each other like very menacingly.
Nuge just getting up in Barreleye's face.
Yeah,
yeah. Barreleye is always the most like calming. I mean, very much suits his voice. He always kind of sounds the most soft spoken.
Gipple says, wait, so you're saying that Vegnagun woke up because somebody was trying to destroy it? Well, who? And Barreleye goes, who indeed? I'm a little confused. You came to claim it for yourself, didn't you? And he's saying that toward Nuge. But Vegnagun awoke. And why? Because deep down, you hated it. Did you come here to use it or destroy it? Well, and like this whole time, like Nuge is looking away from him. So basically, he's saying that like the reason Vegnagun is gone is because you, Nuge, came here to use it and maybe destroy it. And it detected that, and then it sprung to life and left, right? And then Nuge turns around and says, actually, both. You probably think that's impossible, but you've always been too naive to see. I wouldn't expect you to understand. And Barreleye says, well, I hope you don't expect me to trust you either. I believed in you once. When we were training for the Crimson Squad, I thought I'd never find a better friend, but you betrayed that 2 years ago. And then
Barreleye whips out a gun.
Barreleye whips out a gun and points it at Nuge.
Yes.
I think it's a Crimson Squad gun.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I didn't notice
it has this kind of like cool like red star flash on it, not like a communist one, but a much cooler, sportier one.
He says, "Why did you shoot Gipple and me? We were friends and you shot us in the back." Oh. And like, we've seen this thing, the Crimson Spheres, of like people going insane and shooting each other. Yeah. And then Gipple keeps telling him to calm down, and eventually Gipple pulls out his own gun and aims it at Barrel-Eye. So you have like Barrel-Eye aiming a gun at Nuge, and Gipple aiming one at him.
Nuge apologizes, right? And then that's enough. Don't push me. And then he pulls out his gun, and like, if this is what it takes, pointing it, I think, at Barrel-Eye.
Yeah. And eventually Nuge will pull out a gun and point it at Gipple. It makes no sense. Like, there's no reason he would want to do that.
It just looks so fucking cool. They had to.
It just looks cool.
But they all have the same gun, which is why I think they're specifically Crimson Squad guns.
Yeah, you're probably right.
This has turned out perfectly. Wouldn't you agree? Yes, I shot you. You were easy targets. You and Pain.
And Gipple's like, "Oh my god, you shot Pain too."
This is also when like some fireflies are starting to fly around Nuge when he says this.
Fireflies are flying around Nuge.
Also, does his voice change?
A little bit. It starts to do the stereo voice thing where you hear two voices or whatever. Mm-hmm. And Barrel-Eye says, "Why? Why did you do that?" And Nuge says, in a different voice,
"I made him do it. He was too weak to resist me."
And Gipple's like, "Oh, that's not good. Whoa, Nuge, what's happening?" And Nuge says, "I don't expect you to present any more of a challenge. Not now." And like a burst of fireflies comes out of Nuge and enters Gipple. Or not Gipple, I'm sorry, Barrel-Eye, right?
Damn, dude, what the fuck?
So yeah, like whatever like was inside of Nuge comes out and then goes into Barrel-Eye. And then Barrel-Eye says in the weird voice, "See, I find that the mind that hates and despairs is the easiest to break. 2 years ago, the same with you, Nuge, seeking your own death. But now you can have it." And he points the gun down at Nuge like he's going to shoot him. And then Gipple tries to stop him, right? And so it's like crazy. And then Pain runs in and is like, "You all need to stop this right now." Nuge tells Pain to get out of here.
And then we find a Marlboro that just comes zooming in.
And then a Marlboro just comes in out of fucking nowhere. It's just like, "Yo, what's up? I'm here now."
It's flying in.
So that was very poor timing on the Marlboros thing. But yeah, there's a lot of plot that happens
Deus Ex
there.
Marlboro.
So like we learn a lot from that one little scene where like, okay, the four of them, including Pain, were in the Crimson Squad. We saw everybody shooting each other. Nuge shot the other three, but I guess they all survived or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's because something in the Fireflies, some spirit, took over Nuge and then made him kill the other ones. And now that spirit's done with him and has moved on to Barrel-Eye for some reason.
God
it's
damn,
weird.
Dude.
It's crazy.
Well, that's one hell of a scene to just completely not do.
Which is so weird because like
it doesn't feel like a throwaway scene at all. Like some of the Crimson Spheres, it feels like, man, this is really important.
It is like central to the plot, and there is nothing indicating that you should come here.
There's always been hints of like Pain's association to like these guys. She's always been kind of hiding from them whenever they're
with Nuge
around.
And stuff. She's like, "Oh, I don't want to talk about it," because like, "Oh, you Nuge have history." Kind of thing.
And it's like,
And her always being like on the outside of like the conversation whenever they're interacting with Barrel-Eye or whatever.
Right. And then when they interact with Gipple, he's like, "It's you," and she's like, "I've never met you before." Then he goes, "Oh, okay."
But this is like the other two start confronting Pain because after we're done with the fight, the guys are just gone. Pain says, "I saw Barrel-Eye escape. Nuge and Gipple probably chased after them." And then, they start asking her, like, "Oh, so you did know them?" And like, "Oh, yeah, long ago." Pain again says,
long ago, 2 years.
Says, "Not us. It was an accident. At least that's how I see it." And Rico's like, "Why didn't you tell us?" Pain says, "You never asked," which is kind of a
classic.
Yeah. I was like, Enrico's like, "I'm asking now."
If Shinra said that, I would have been fucking pissed. but Pain said it, so I'm like, that's pretty dope.
But Pain's pretty clear that she doesn't want to talk about it. And Yuna is like, "You know what? Forcing you to tell isn't any better. We'll wait until you're ready."
Which I like, because like there has already been a scene in the game, like when we went to the Crimson Sphere door at the beginning of the game, where they're like super trying to pressure Pain, like, tell us what you know, what's your story with this thing, blah 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 blah, and they're like really getting on her nerves. And I like that there's this little turnaround in this one where she's like, there's actually important information that she probably does need to tell, but Yuna's like, don't worry about it. You can tell us when you're ready. And I was like, a little bit of character growth. How nice. Love that.
I wonder how many points Riku has lost along the way. What's the number at right now?
Yeah, Riku on the airship, their flavor text is Firefly swarmed out of Nuja's body into paralyzed. What's going on?
What's going on?
Yeah.
And then we have okay, by the way, here's a very, very important thing to know about this section too. When you are done on your way back, it's funny. It's funny that I'm going to bring this up because I just said about the samurai dress sphere where I was like, you almost missed the samurai dress sphere. It's so obvious sitting right there. Literally in the middle of the platform after this scene is Crimson Sphere number 1. And I walked out without it, and it takes you all the way back to the surface. And and so I'm reading the guide and it says, look at Crimson Sphere 1. And I was like, what? I didn't get Crimson Sphere 1. I had to go all the way back and do this dungeon a third fucking time
oh my God.
Get the fucking sphere. But it is still there. So if you do like I did and accidentally walk out, it's not too late. You can go get it. You just have to do the dungeon again.
Crimson Sphere 1.
Maybe that's why my Berserker has counterattack and magic counter already.
Yeah, because you don't have that charm bangle.
That's right. Yeah, I don't have a charm bangle, and also I insist on doing dungeons multiple times.
But before we crack open this sphere, maybe we should take a break.
I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah, sounds good to me. I'll go through and do the dungeon for a second time and catch on up.
Sounds good. See you in a bit.
Are there any games that are bullet heavens instead of bullet hells?
Oh, bullet heavens.
Actually, that's
bullet purgatory.
That's actually what a lot of people call vampire hunters.
Vampire survivors.
Vampire survivors.
Oh, you mean the HoloLive game?
It's very satisfying as you just level up. It's like, I have a giant shield of garlic and lasers around me.
That's awesome. I do like that game like kicked off a bunch of like spin-off game, or not even like you know how like games will take a bit of an element from another game, like Vampire Survivors came out, people were just like, I've only
played Metroid and Castlevania, and those are the only two games that exist actually.
Yeah, they should make a genre called like, I don't know, a Castleoid.
Castleoid. Perfect.
Yeah, I do like that like a million games were just like, we're going to be exactly Vampire Survivors with just like a new coat of paint.
Yeah, nice.
Where you just like, you auto attack, wandering and
one of the first ones they made that fucking like HoloLive game for the VTubers or whatever, and that was like huge. And then on that fucking Nikkei game, there's a Vampire Survivors built into it now.
That's
crazy.
That's awesome.
Anyway,
so we're on the Celsius. And we just picked up a fresh new Crimson Sphere, right?
Indeed, we did.
Yes.
Number 1.
Which I watched the cutscene online, and the person who was doing the cutscene did the same exact thing that Curtis did, which was walked right past the sphere that has that crimson report on it, and then went back to the ship, and then was looking for it with Shinran. Is like, I don't have it.
Oh no, it's I was just so overwhelmed by the drama of it all.
Yeah, of course.
But if we decide to watch Crimson Sphere 1, which we need to for 100%.
And that means I think it's chronological because this is the first one, right?
I don't know.
I guess it would be, right?
Because this scene is when our trio that we had just saw try to shoot each other meet for the first time, or at least introduce each other.
Yeah.
I feel like that makes sense, right?
Probably so. Because there's the one where like Keenock is being like, hey, you're now called the Crimson Squad. Like, this is the beginning of the Crimson Squad, but I guess that maybe they already know each other at that point.
Right.
Who knows? It doesn't matter. It's you know what? The thing about video games is they're all made up. This shit's fake.
Shit doesn't matter.
It don't matter. So yeah, it basically shows like the crew of them out in the Beacon-El Desert, right? Or what I assume is the Beacon-El Desert. It seems to be the only desert in the world, as far as we know. Are there areas outside of Spira? Is Spira the planet, or is it like...
Spira is really a continent.
Is it?
Yeah, the other continent is Real Xanarkand. Real Dream Xanarkand, or whatever.
Yeah, Real Dream Xanarkand is most of the planet. Anyway, regardless. Yeah, they're out in the desert. They are fighting someone, ? They're basically like hiding behind rubble and firing their guns in nondescript directions. Something's out there. Who knows? But you can hear gunfire in the background, so somebody's shooting off a gun.
It's also playing that classic song that has been playing a lot in this game of like the panic music, like the alert music or whatever.
Gippel's like, isn't Team 3 getting a little carried away? I thought this was supposed to be a drill. Because they're like taking like intense fire.
Barrel Eye says, hey, aren't you an Al-Bed? Why are you trying out for the Crimson Squad? And Gippel's like, the Al-Bed want to protect Spirit too. I wanted to be a Crusader, but apparently we're not eligible.
Ooh.
But yeah, so Gippel kind of like feels up his gun or whatever, and he goes, no one can handle one of these babies like an Al-Bed can. And Barrel Eye looks at it and says, Machina, even if the Macers are okay with it, what about everybody else? And then Nuge is like off camera, but we hear him for the first time say, shut up, we'll get reported. And then Barrel Eye tries to introduce himself to him and goes, my name is Barrel Eye from Bevelle. You? And Nuge just starts to walk off toward a sand dune.
I've seen this 100 times. Yep, a lot of people'd sooner shoot an Al-Bed than tell them their name.
It's Nuge.
And then Barrel Eye's like, the Nuge? Whoa! Yeah, oh my goodness. And Gippel says his name's Gippel. And then they kind of look back at Payne, right? Who we now know is Payne.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. I was like, wait a second, who's holding the camera?
Yeah, because they're like, how about you? Like, what's your name? And that's where it ends.
Yeah.
How about that?
And then we have to fast forward a lot because you spend so many hours doing these different locations and these different like missions. And then what I didn't take any screenshots of is the like time starting now that I went to do all of the PR missions and all of the matrimony missions for this chapter, because this is where the most of them are. So
I did not do it again, and I do have to go back and get the fucking sphere. I probably won't do the PR shit. The Elden Ring DLC is coming out soon. I got more shit I gotta do. I got shit to do.
That's right.
I ain't doing that. That kid can find his own spouse.
If you are not, how do I put this? If you're not dedicated to doing 100%, you're going to enjoy Chapter 4 more than anyone else. If you are trying to get 100%, Chapter 4 is going to be the worst part of this fucking game. And I am not looking forward to it.
Okay. Well, Curtis is jumping on that landmine for us here at the pod.
Yeah, indeed.
So what did you do?
So I went to Besaid and I talked to everybody in Besaid and I offered them different slogans to get them to join Open Air. And then I did it again.
Per my spreadsheet, I chose these options for this person.
And then I
you have a clipboard in each hand, one for Argent Air and one for this guy who needs to get married.
Yeah, well, okay, so the thing is, the guy to get married doesn't affect your 100%, so I just chose the top slot every single time, which is like the rude one. I guess I read it as rude, where you're like, hey, find your better half. Like, if somebody told me that, I'd be like, fuck you.
How rude.
But it works on some people, so whatever. And actually, before I went to the next area, I did go back to the Calmlands to check what my points were. And that guy's like father or mother, whoever that is, standing next to him, will tell you how well you're doing. And so I went up to him and he goes,
his approval ratings.
Well, his actual dialogue is hilarious. He says, you've gotten the interest in my son to 44 points. I don't know what that means.
I mean, that's like 2 higher than Riku's points right now with Payne, I'm pretty sure.
Right. That's right.
The Spirit census is coming through, and like, we've conducted a survey, and it seems like 44% points. Your kid's up 44 points.
Yeah.
Like,
values through the roof. Bye.
I feel like that's a higher approval rating than most U.S. presidents get by the time they're done. Like, so that's pretty good.
It's pretty good. I'm actually a little bit worried about my PR thing because it was only 288, but I found some more to push it over 300. But I think it needs to be 400 before you get the thing. So I'm like, I hope I have enough points. We will find out soon enough. Anyway,
have you considered how funny it will be if you don't have enough?
God, if I get to chapter 5 and there's enough points in chapter 5 to get to like 399.
I'm sure you're fine.
I hope so.
I'm sure you're fine.
I mean,
says guy who hasn't done it at all.
Yeah. technically, I think theoretically there's enough points that you can go over the limit for one of the companies, then switch to the other company and get them too. So I think I'm fine.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. Anyway, the next place we actually have to go, though, is Djose Temple.
Yes.
And this is, I think, our last chance to do anything else.
Yes.
This is where Chapter 3 ends.
That's right. That's right.
It is Fiends in Djose Temple. We're getting a distress signal. The machine factions bit off more than they can chew with these fiends. Should we ignore our leader's orders and go? And this is... Jesus Christ, sorry. This is the first 2-star mission that we've had this chapter, to my memory. The last 2 were just like 1 stars, at least the ones we covered today.
That may be correct, yeah. I will say that if you want to do anything else in the world anyway, you should do it before Djose Temple, because Chapter 4, most locations will not be accessible.
Yeah.
So if you want to do anything before the finale.
That also is echoed in the guide as well. It says, this is a point of no return. You won't be able to explore Spirit in a while, so make sure that you got everything.
Yep.
And then it says in parentheses, Carl, make sure you got the Bushido lore and also the Crimson Sphere, and also that you went to Bevelle, you fucking idiot.
But don't worry about the PR. It's fine. It's too annoying.
Yeah, the PR, no one's going to blame you.
Yeah. So we walk in. Alex, do you have the script with you? There's a lot of Al-Bhed here.
There's a lot of Al-Bhed here. I do know that one of the words that Riku says, given my limited understanding of the Al-Bhed language, is nincompoop, which is really good because it says a bunch of letters and then poop at the end of it. And I was like, well, what would that be? And the way it all lines up, I see an I, a C, and an O. I'm like, she says nincompoop.
So nincompoop is a direct translation in Al-Bhed, okay.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
But we arrive at Djose Temple. There's kind of mostly just Machina and a few Al-Bhed kind of just like pointing guns and like just guarding the entrance to the temple.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Al-Bhed going back and forth. But in Al-Bhed, one guy is like, we don't know, he has vanished. And Riku's like, oh, that nincompoop.
Well, the first guy says, where is Gipple when we need him?
Riku asks, where is Gipple?
Gipple, yeah. It's funny that this scene happens immediately after the last scene. Because in the story, you guys have already seen Gipple.
Yes, I think the text actually might be different than what I got.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, actually.
That's what I was wondering about, because I'm looking at my screenshots after not seeing that, but it could also be a thing where it's an Aeon. Oh my god,
Yeah, you're right.
It could be the same sort of thing where they don't really account for you having seen that in the main cutscenes of the story.
That's true. So actually, it might make sense for Riku not ask, where's Gipple? Because in mine, when she walked up, she didn't say anything at first. The Al-Bhed standing there pointing the gun says, where is Gipple when we need him? I can actually see that when I have enough Al-Bhed
sick.
to
Fuck
see
yeah.
that.
Okay, yeah.
So if you hadn't watched the Bevelle scene, they will be asking, where is Gipple?
Okay.
So
because I didn't see nincompoop, so that makes sense.
Yeah, and Yuna says here, the leaders of all 3 groups missing. And Riku says, I have a hunch, something funny's going on. And Pain says, save the hunches for later. But that's probably something you didn't see, Curtis, because they know where he is.
Oh, yeah, here it is. I'm looking at the script I'm watching has both. So, yeah, if for us who did watch the Bevelle scene, it says, like, where is Gipple when you need him? Riku doesn't talk to him directly, but he turns to us. It's like, oh, he says Gipple's not back yet. And Yuna says, I wonder if he's still with Nuge and Barreleye.
Yeah.
It's like, probably. And that's where it goes back to like the normal dialogue.
And then they say something long and detailed in Al-Bhed.
We tried fighting the Fiends on our own, but we only made things worse.
There we go.
And the other one's, that's an Al-Bhed. The other one also says, the Fiends found a way to merge with our Machina. Says, translation, not good.
The word merge in Al-Bhed is Sanka.
I do like Sanka. I did notice that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's like, what could that mean? I was also thrown off because I guess it's not a direct translation of fiends with like the Al-Bhed word. They probably have the same word for it because it says draw fiends. And I'm like, okay, what is an A? Because an A is missing here, but fiends has an E in it. So clearly that's not an E. I was like, is he saying thy? Like
probably fiends and Machina are probably fine.
Yeah, exactly. So
speaking of, I told you guys what Moogle was in Al-Bhed.
Oh my God.
Indeed you did.
I love it. Could you
did.
let our listeners know what Moogle is in Al-Bhed?
It is a Stukma nut. Give him the old Kupo.
I dropped my my glass of water when Alex sent that on Discord. I was so shocked. I was like, "Oh my god, they knew the whole time. They've been planning this."
They started from there, like when they were when they were like
everything else has to
fit
into this. Yeah,
yeah, it's got to make it suck my nut.
But Riku does say translation not good, and Yuna says then that's our cue, and then we get the mission.
I love the mission
Djose.
name. No way, Djose.
Which is eliminate the fiends that have appeared inside Djose Temple. Be careful though; these fiends aren't to be taken lightly. Objective: liberate the temple. And we score an Albed primer. Sorry guys, I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too. Thinking about some Wawa afterwards. Anyway. Yes, we get a primer, and as soon as we go into the temple, we see Shinra installing one of his comm spheres.
Yeah, a little fucking dork.
And he says, "What better opportunity to install a comm sphere?" I was like, Shinra, shaking my head.
I'm trying to look at the other things that the Albed outside say.
I went over to the other entrance that we can go in that's not the temple, and it's just the guy about the like dig site. And he says, "What do you want?" And you say, "What's the digging for?" And he just gives you the same spiel that he gives you in like chapter 1 or whatever. Like, you'll be digging to research and building materials in the Beacon Desert. I'm like, there's more pressing shit going on here, dude.
Hey, look, he's got a job. He's got a job and he knows how to do it.
One of the Albeds says, "I've never held a gun before. What the heck is going on here?"
Damn, sad.
Yeah. Poor buddy. That's Machina he won't touch. I can't help but think 2 years ago, when we fought the Guado, all I can hope is that these fiends aren't as horrific as the ones the Guado used.
Yeah, He says that in English, so they're like having flashbacks to when they fought the Guado, which is also pretty sad.
May I interject really quick with a quick side story?
Sure.
FF10-2 based.
FF10-2 is based, you're correct.
Indeed. When I was doing my PR mission thing, I got another cutscene in Guado Salam that I haven't seen. That I don't know if I must have just missed it before, maybe? I'm not sure. Have you all tried to go into the leftmost house? And then that Hypello shows up and tells you that you can't?
Maybe. It sounds familiar, but...
I hadn't seen that yet, but basically a Hypello shows up if you try to go into the leftmost house and says, like, that's the Guado's house. And Yuna's like, oh, the Guado... when do they use this house? And he says, they sneak in and out when no one can see, but
I did not
you'll need their
that.
permission to get inside.
Yeah, I feel like I've gotten a smaller scene that's not as explicit as that, but not as direct as like, the Guado are sneaking in and out of there.
Okay, well, I just remembered because you all mentioned the Guado in this part, and I was like, I just saw that today. I missed that.
Weird.
Anyway.
But into the temple we go.
Into the temple we go. Past the comm sphere.
There's Machina. I go into the side rooms first.
Me too.
The living quarters, like, when Albed's like, if only I wasn't hurt. If we don't act quickly, there'll be hell to pay. We had no choice but to run, but our friends are still inside. Please help them.
Yeah.
What's on the right side?
You can look at that Wii U to see your parts received for the digging mission that we're terrified to do because we don't want to get locked out of 100%.
But what do we do? We just go into the trials and there's just electricity going crazy.
Yeah.
And people, there's like Albed strewn everywhere. It's a real doozy. I was like kind of afraid that we'd get zapped or hurt or something, or have to fight like weird electric.
Classic environmental trap.
Yeah.
Nah, none of that. Just some fiends.
We don't stand a chance with weak Machina like this one, but we can't use the big guns in such a cramped space.
Basically, what it amounts to is like the Djose Temple pillars that we had to push in FF10. There are 5 in the back room, and there's electricity blocking the room or the door to the Chamber of the Faith. One of those will turn off the electricity, but it doesn't explicitly say which one does it, and they're not in the same camera angle. So I turned all 5 off and was like, oh, nothing happened. And then I came back and saw that the electricity was gone, and I was like, oh, I guess it just doesn't tell you.
I
went straight upstairs, and I think there was only 3 that I had to interact with.
Yeah,
there are 3 directly ahead, and then if you walk to the side, you can see a far left, far right.
Yeah, you can see other ones. So is it random each time? Because I got very lucky, and I had to do all of the fights and push all 5 of them in order to open up the way.
I don't know that I had to or not. I did all 5 and then didn't get a message, and so I was like,
I saw like a little cutscene of the lightning turning off. The electricity, the lightning.
Same.
Jesus Christ.
For me, it was in the far back, but on the left.
Okay.
Yeah, I think mine is in the far back on the right, but like Yuna's right as she's walking in.
Camera right.
Yeah.
Interesting. But either way, that turns the electricity off, and we're able to go up into the Chamber of the Faith. And I don't remember if I mentioned this on the FF10 season, but I feel like the Chamber of the Faith is supposed to be incredibly secretive and like underground and stuff like that. But there are just windows to the outside. You can just see into the Chamber of the Faith.
It's forbidden to peek. It's forbidden though, so it's fine.
Oh, okay.
I also like that there's like the one room in the temple that just had like a bunch of like dead Machina robots on the floor, and you have to like jump over it to get to the treasure chest there, and it's like a stamina spring.
1 million dead Machina. World is a fuck.
But we end up in the Chamber of the Faith, and we see an old friend, and we see an Albed holding a gun at our old friend Ixion.
That's right. Ixion has merged with Machina, though, so it's like Dark Ixion merged with machines.
Yeah.
Which, I feel like Ixion was kind of a little mechanical.
Yeah, if any of them are going to merge with a machine, I feel like Ixion makes sense.
It just turns into the one from 13.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking of, yeah. I mean, horses are just freaks like that anyway.
I mean, horses are mostly machines, as far as I know.
Yeah.
It's 1 horsepower.
I don't feel strongly about it or anything, but I'm definitely of the mind that horses are fine animals as long as they're not around me. I don't want to be in the same area as a horse. I do really like
horses, but they are also terrifying because they can
easily
kill anyone.
There's
actually horses in my neighborhood that I see sometimes when I'm walking around, so...
You know what's incredible is that there are horses in my neighborhood in fucking the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah. There's a whole group of folks who
Urban Cowboys.
Yeah, the Urban Cowboys.
I think there was a movie about them.
Former bandmate of mine who I've talked about in the Final Fantasy 13 season with the sheep and like the woman who works on a ranch in Montana. She did a whole thing on her Instagram. She's got like a lot of followers and stuff, and was just talking about the Urban Cowboys and that whole story, and it's really, really cool and really interesting. So that's Philly's got a ton of those, and it's super sick.
Not as scary as this one though.
No,
they didn't have anything quite like Ixion, which we need the Urban Samurai to fight to do extra damage.
So how was your guys' fight with Ixion? I don't really have many screenshots of it, but this one's definitely harder than the others.
I wanted to once again be able to say that I got through the fight without having it do its special or whatever, but it definitely has either more HP or just more defense. It's just a tougher battle, so I couldn't quite get to it.
I feel like this attack took forever.
Yeah, it also has the recharge attack where it will just like strike itself with lightning and give itself 300 HP and 300 MP, so it can just like rattle shit off at you like constantly, and it's pretty fast too. Like I kind of did a juggling thing of like, oh shit, this person done. I think with this, I changed up my strategy with Riku as an alchemist of using the stash mega potion, which is keeping everyone topped off as much as possible. And I changed over to mix and just mixed high potions together because you can get those off a little bit faster. So it was like less risk to constantly be doing that than like waiting the full ATB bar of the stash of like the free one.
Yeah, I kind of did similar, but what I did, I had a Yuna as a berserker, and I put her into berserk, so she was doing like 1,200, 1,300 damage each time, and like quickly, because when you're berserk, you go faster too. Yeah. So Ixion can only heal itself for 300 HP, so it was kind of like insignificant as far as like Yuna going nuts. And then with Pain, I was like, well, I already have so much damage popping, so I'll just mix a mega potion every single turn with the potion and high potion. So I just kept everybody topped off the whole time. But there were some points when like Ixion...
Wait, can you do potion and high potion to get mega potion?
To get a fucking mega potion. Yes,
shit, I've been doing 2 high potions like a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
That's not very economical of me, but hey, whatever.
Yeah. But after Ixion uses Thor's hammer, that was enough to take everybody down into the yellow HP. So, like, if he gets off another attack quickly, he can KO some people, which he did get another attack off, but I stayed in, like high enough HP that it was okay. I was able to get that mega potion off and continue on anyway.
It almost felt to me that Thor's hammer might have been like gravity based, like percentage based. I might be wrong about that. It might have just been like me thinking that, but I'm gonna look into that because you mentioning it, I was like, oh yeah, because it did a whole lot of damage to me. Like one time it didn't do that much, and then another time it did a whole bunch. So
okay, yeah, it could be. I'm not sure actually. But other than that, though, it wasn't too bad. Like I was able to get through it pretty easily. Anything else
about the fight?
Yeah. I feel like these battles aren't too much. I think Ixion only has like 3 different things it can do, or maybe 4. I guess it can cast Thundara.
Oh, I do have a couple things. Yeah, you can steal sprint shoes from it, which I was very excited about.
I didn't know that.
And you can steal, I think 3,000 gil. That might be like upwards of 3,000 gil, depending on your luck or whatever. But I stole a pretty good amount of gil from it, and also got the sprint shoes. Where I'm like, fuck yes, I'm excited to slip those shoes on. But
yeah, that's always a really good one in every Final Fantasy.
I assume that just is auto haste and not like panic haste or whatever. Where you're
SOS haste.
Yeah, SOS. Yeah. Also drops a Soul of Thamasis.
Yeah, so the Soul of Thamasa.
I forget what that does, but I think it's like a high penalty, but you really do a lot of like damage with it.
Yeah, it doubles the cost of all your spells and also doubles the power.
Yeah.
And then we go into the where the faith would be, like the actual faith proper, and once again there is a giant hole. Importantly,
real quick, sorry, I think it was actually Arrow Spark that I was thinking of, which deals damage based on your HP.
Oh, okay.
Because the strategy is Ixion likes to use Arrow Spark often, so don't keep your HP high. Which I did the opposite. I was drinking down those potions like crazy.
So was I.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. Actually, it's a good thing that you did because I forgot something very important, which is every Aeon that we fought so far, after we beat it, it dissolves into pyreflies.
Yeah.
Ixion does not. Right. Because after the battle, we actually see injured Ixion like laying on the ground in that chamber. Yeah. And we don't finish him. We just walk away into the actual Chamber of the Faith where the actual Faith would be. And once again, there's a giant hole in the ground.
Yeah, and we also get the Unwavering Garment Grid.
Indeed we do.
Which I did not look at all.
I didn't either. Let's look at what it does now.
Let's take a look to Google.
It's got defense plus 15.
Oh.
And magical defense plus 15.
I love that. Where's the thing where it says what its image is?
I'm looking at Final Fantasy Otaku. I don't think it says it here. Well, who's to say?
Who's to say? Who really knows when you really think about it? So we go into the chamber. There is once again the big hole, as there always is.
Faith hole.
Love. Oh wait, here it is. Now it's sometimes when I reload the page, it gives me the name of like it tells me what's on the grids, but sometimes it doesn't show me it. And I
always have bad luck with it, and I don't know what it is. It's like
but it is a picture of Djose Temple.
Well, that makes sense, I guess. Anyway.
Yeah, indeed. Big hole in the ground. Riku says, I wonder what's down there. And Pain goes, go find out. And she's like, oh, no way. And we hear a little bit of monologue or inner thoughts from Yuna.
Some whole thoughts.
A lot of
discussion about whole in this.
Yeah, I mean, who amongst us has not stopped to contemplate the whole for a little while?
It's a very wholesome episode.
Every time they said that, I just thought of the meme that I sent to you guys in the Discord of Mario Golf, and it shows Daisy and it says you won this hole, or like Waluigi, it says you won this hole, but then it's Wario saying tear this hole up, and Luigi saying spit in this hole.
Why would Luigi say that?
It's an Italian thing.
I was gonna say I can see the golf application for the other 3. Anyway,
I think he's just mad at the hole, you know?
I guess, sometimes you just get mad at the hole.
I remember someone posting that and just saying, like, send this to your crush.
Yuna's internal monologue says,
The hole we found was so deep. It was as though all the secrets in the world might be hidden in its depths. But something told me to stay away. These secrets are not for me to know.
And then as she's thinking that, Pain says, get back! And Yuna turns around to see what it is. And Ixion is in the doorway, right? Like charging up a blast. Which it does. It lets off a mighty explosion, and Pain jumps out of the way, Riku jumps out of the way, but Yuna's directly in its line of fire, and the only location she can jump is into the hole.
Yes.
And into the hole she goes.
To the planet's core.
And then it does a cool
split screen.
Yeah. Between
kind of unnecessary because it's like also like unpancaking Pain and Riku.
Yeah.
As they use, one says Yuna, one says Uni.
And like I think like the Pain one swipes up from the bottom, and the Riku one swipes down. It's like a cool effect, but like Curtis said, it's like that was unnecessary. They're not that far away from each other, and then we see them both outside of the hole.
Yeah. And Yuna has been transported to the negative zone. She's in the expanse.
Yeah.
She's outside the Matrix.
She's outside the Matrix. She's upside down. We get a good close up on her boots, which I appreciated. I was always like,
true, they're pretty cool boots.
They got like steel toes or something. Love that.
The background is fully white, so if you were playing this at like late night and all your lights are out and stuff, you would just get flashbanged by it. It's like,
I'm blind.
It's the opposite problem of like going to a black screen and just seeing your weird scrunched up face.
Oh, it's the worst. Did I ever tell you all? I'm sure I have told you all about the Bravely Default one, where it like turns on your camera. Have I ever told you about that?
No.
It's the worst version of looking at a black screen. Like, so you know, like the 3DS had like a camera on the front, like a front-facing camera. I guess it's trying to make a point that like, oh, the darkness is within us all or whatever. But when you go into the last dungeon in Bravely Second, I think, maybe Bravely Default, you like walk into this giant maelstrom, and the eye of the storm is just your own like stupid fucking face looking at the DS. And I was like, Bravely Default, you didn't have to do me that way, because I'm like looking down at it. I have like the double chin thing going on because I'm looking down at my DS.
You have fucking like Wawa grease all over your face. Like.
yeah. And like the characters are descending into it, and it's playing like disturbing music, and I'm like, I know I look this way.
Into the blood again.
It's like, look how disturbing this is, and I'm like, I know. I have to see it every day.
Funny,
Thank
dude.
you.
Oh my god, that rocks. That's they're utilizing technology that has gone unused since the days of the Game Boy camera, where you could fight Miyamoto as the final boss in like Space Invaders, or you could like use a picture of your older brother's face on there, like I did.
Yeah,
it's like, take that, Eric.
The idea of like jump scaring the player with their own face, it's so devious.
That's so good. But anyway, so as she's falling in this like ethereal white void, she just says, it's so bright, and we see 4 question marks, and it says, can you hear me? And the voice is familiar. We've heard this voice before.
It's that guy.
It's that guy.
That guy.
But yeah, Yuna lands onto, we don't see any floor or anything, but we can kind of tell that she like landed somewhere and is kind of walking around. And that voice again says, you can hear me. Yuna says, I can't see you. Where are you? And then the voice says, right here. And then we get kind of like a landscape scene. A lot of waterfalls.
I think it's the Farplane.
Yeah, she's on the Farplane.
Yeah.
While we're in the Farplane, there's like all these like just forever waterfalls coming from everywhere.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. It's very picturesque.
Yeah, it's very nice.
And we see this kind of, I'm seeing a lot of like, I've been noticing a lot of mirrored shots lately because I just saw the end of Final Fantasy X like the other night again. And just like these mirrored shots of the reused shot of Yuna on the ground facing the camera at the same exact position.
Oh, wow.
Oh, cool.
Nice. So it's like when she, like the one I'm thinking of is when she stumbles through Tidus and like on the top of the Fahrenheit, and she's just like on the ground kind of just crying.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's very much that same camera angle.
But we noticed that Yuna, in the cutscene where she was falling, she was wearing her gunner dress sphere. And in this one now, she is in the songstress dress sphere.
Right. And when she stands up, she even looks at it and is like, what is happening?
Yeah, and it starts like glowing, and a bunch of like, I guess like fireflies kind of start emanating out of it, like very, very small ones.
And the area that she's in, like, it's very nice. Like, it's very idyllic, with the exception of there being a shitload of fog, because it's like flowers and
I didn't
waterfalls
really pick up
and
on
stuff.
that. There must be like something like a memory or a spirit kind of coming off of the songstress dress.
Yeah, but from the fog, we see Tidus walking towards us.
Oh my gosh.
Familiar face.
It's that guy.
Yeah. He looks like he's got a new symmetrical drip now.
Yeah,
he does. He kind of like he lost the Xanarkin fuckboy outfit.
Yeah, he also sounds a little more serious.
Yeah, he's not. He looks more like as a leisure suit. He's like wearing kind of like a
like a Hugh Hefner fucking like robe or whatever the fuck. Yeah, but he's also talking more like I guess the word I'm looking for is like mature. Like he's not like Titus was kind of like goofy,
he's less
like
neurotic.
Aloof. Yeah.
Even when Titus was being serious,
tone.
he had a very lightness about him. Even when he's being serious,
it's like I finally found you.
And Yuna says, "Is that really you?" And he says, "It is me, Shu Yin."
Is that really you?
It is me, Shu Yin. I've waited so long. Len.
That'd be really fucked up if in FF10 you named your character Shuyin. And you'd be like, whoa!
Oh my god.
He's like, yeah.
It really is him.
I was like, yeah.
It must be reading my memory card. That's a good point, yeah.
It's like the people who name Red Nanaki.
Yeah.
Actually, his name's not Nanaki. It's Nanaki. Anyway, I'm sorry. Continue on.
But yeah, it says that he's waited so long, calls Yuna Len. She kind of turns around, and he repeats that again. Says, Len, we disappeared together, but when I awoke, I was alone. I looked for you for so long. While I wandered, I realized something. Spira hasn't really changed at all. Everyone's still fighting over nothing, still dying like they used to. 1,000 years have passed, and they can't leave the hatred behind. I'm through waiting. I'll fix it.
This world continues to fail us, and what's worse, I failed to protect you. Vegnagun will make that all go away.
And it like zooms in on his like heavily detailed gloved hand, like finger.
He's doing like the Arthur fists.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool looking glove too.
This is also, I think, like the first time we've seen like this. This is like the first kind of Len / Yun cutscene we've seen that, or I guess that is happening currently because
and in this detail.
Yeah, until he was like talking about things happening now in Vegnagun, I was like, oh, this is just another flashback.
Yeah,
like she's had when she was just dreaming or something while sleeping in the songstress dress or whatever.
But yeah, he says Vegnagun will make it all go away and we'll fade again together. Help me do it, Len. And then he like goes to like kind of touch her shoulders and Yuna just says, don't touch me. And he like turns her around and like hugs her, and a bunch of, her clothes start glistening again, and a bunch of fireflies start coming out of the of her clothes.
There's a really well rendered up close shot of her eyes with like tears welling up in them. And it's like really good. I'm like looking at the picture right now being like, dang, they really went.
I didn't notice when I was watching the cutscene, but yeah, looking back at the cutscene, I'm like, damn, that's really, really good.
It's really good because you can see that like she's not yet crying, but there's like tears forming, and I'm like, wow, look at all that detail.
I think also when she was saying "Don't touch me," I think that was like the internal monologue because it was in like the italics, and this is also in italics. I think Yuna is just thinking to herself. She says, "Whose feelings are these? Len's, mine," and then. She and Shu Yin kind of embrace a little bit. He hugs her and everything, and the fireflies continue going around. And
like her dress reacting again to these like memories.
I also like this switch over right here after this happens, because as they're like embracing and like you see the fireflies, the fog starts kind of rolling in a little bit, and I don't think this is like a big point. I just think it's good direction that like the screen is becoming a little bit gray with fog, and the camera's panning out a little bit, kind of like this is the end of a scene, like she's fallen into this reality or this unreality or whatever. And then we quickly hear Nuge's voice like shouting, "Open your eyes."
Yeah.
And all of the fog immediately clears.
And it goes from the high res, very nice thing to like the in-game models, which still look pretty good.
Yeah.
They didn't want to make high res
Nuge. It would be it would be too sexy.
But yeah, I thought it was a good use of like feeling like a scene was ending, like this is like how it could stay forever until Nuge shows up, snaps her out of it, and then like everything looks totally different because now she's able to see the scene for what it is.
Credits could have started rolling and then it's just playing simple and clean or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's very much like snapping out of a dream.
Yeah,
right. And when he does,
kind of is.
The fireflies leave Yuna's body, showing that she's still wearing the gunner outfit, and the fireflies leave Shu Yin's body, revealing that actually that was Beryl the whole time.
Yeah,
just like using the form of the fireflies to become Shu Yin.
He also looks a little confused about it as well.
This would again, like, this cutscene would have been extra confusing if you hadn't seen the Bevelle scene.
If you haven't seen the Bevelle scene, yeah, you'd be like, "What the fuck's going on here?"
Yeah, imagine that. I was just like, "Oh, here's my read on this was, oh, okay, these guys also got trapped in their own temples when they were trying to, like, they ended up in this weird, like,
they fell in the
nether
holes or
realm
something.
underneath the temples in the holes or whatever and stuff." Like,
but I feel like that's also an answer to, like, where Shuyin comes into this story, right? He was the spirit that took over in the Crimson Squad that had everybody kill each other.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because like he says when you're in Bevelle, he's like, yeah, I took over Nuge because his heart was full of hate, so it was easy to take over. Yeah. But now yours is, so I'm going to take over yours. And he takes over Bearlai's, and that's why Nuge and Gipple are chasing him around through the Farplane now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But
Bearlai says the end is not far now, and he's kind of pointing into the distance, and like a black hole kind of starts opening. Like there's like a little like firework burst of like fireflies or whatever. And
Eye of Sauron type of
looking thing. The Eye of Sauron just appears, and he kind of just walks into it.
A fire sphincter.
Yeah. And then as this is happening, Yuna is still just sitting on the ground in like a field of flowers, and both Nuge and is that Gipple as well?
Yeah, Gipple.
I can't keep the fucking names straight.
Yeah, Nuge and Gipple.
They're both holding spheres, and Nuge says, "Give this to Pain. It was all I was able to find." And Gipple says, "Give her this one too." And Yuna's just holding both of them. It's like, huh? And Nuge says,
"It's like, how do you know her?"
Yeah,
Nuge says, "Our wills."
Yeah, they're our wills.
And then Yuna like gasps, and then and Gipple says, "He's just kidding. Like, just make sure Pain gets him, all right?" He's like, "Yeah, we're dying. Here's our last will and testament." Like,
but yeah, that's when Yuna goes like, "How do you know her?" And Gipple just goes, "We go way back," and then they both jump into the vortex.
Yeah, Yuna tells them not to go, and Gipple says it's under control, and then they head out as Nuge says, "Take care of things topside." And we scored the key items, Crimson Sphere 2 and Crimson Sphere 3.
I just realized I think I might forgot to watch these, so we may have to save these.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's the oh yeah, I didn't watch the thing.
That's because we end the chapter in a bit. So
yeah, it ends like shortly after this. So
yeah, this is like the last scene.
All is dark, except for like a lone spotlight that's shining down on Yuna.
Yuna's about to do a one-woman stage show, like a Broadway, like
a
black box theater show. Yeah.
But she just says,
I didn't know what had happened. Everywhere I looked, I found only questions. But more than anything, I'm just angry. One thing after another, and I'm already confused to begin with. Hey, where am I?
But yeah, she's just like stomping around, just kind of because she doesn't know where to go. Like where she's in a black void.
And like, hey, where am I? And then like we can control her, but it still looks very much like the scene was still playing around it. So
she does
like,
let out a big scream because like that's something that Titus would do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would absolutely do that.
Yell real loud.
And then you can kind of just walk around as her for a little bit, and then the screen fades to black again, and we get another cutscene.
Yeah,
her
where
just
she
kind of falling
screams.
to her knees, and then screaming, and she says, "I'm all alone."
And then, importantly, as soon as she says, "I'm all alone," the camera goes out a little bit, and if you are just watching the cutscene, hands not on the controller, and you're just watching, the scene will end. The scene will just end here, and it just fades to black, right? Or if your hands are on the controller and you press the confirm button, you hear Titus's whistle, and like the music like has a little sting, and she's like, "Oh, where are you?" And then she like runs around a little bit, and if you press it again, you hear another whistle, and you see like a golden outline of Titus's figure, like a silhouette walking away in the distance, and she chases it, and you keep mashing the whistle button, and he keeps appearing, and she chases him little by little, and like a staircase of like energy or fireflies forms, and she walks
her
up
out. Yeah, and they're like communicating through whistle. This feels very like, I don't know, end to end of Interstellar.
Okay, yeah,
thing where they're communicating through like different like riffs.
I didn't get that at all.
Oh, what'd you get? Okay, yeah, tell us how the other one ends.
Yeah, she's just kind of like crouched down, like like Patches from Dark Souls style, like just squatting down, and the light is just shining down on her, and then there's a bunch of like green fireflies that are just kind of circling around, and then she ends up in the hallway where I think Bahamut was, where you guys got the scene.
It ends in the same place.
There's also and there's something that I forgot to mention earlier. It was like very quick aside, but one of those machina things that's flying around. What's the thing's name? The pervert one that we hate in Beacon Hill Desert?
Wicket or something like that.
Yeah, Wicket or whatever. Like one of those things.
Picket.
Was
Guilty Spark.
Picket, yeah.
Wicket's the Ewok from
right. But something like Picket, maybe it was Picket, was flying around in the bridge of the Celsius or wherever. Whichever part of the ship we go to and talk to Riku and Pain and everything. Right. Like, it was very distracting because it's like right there at the top of the camera, like moving all around. And I was like, well, I hate that thing's here now. But he is now also in this room. And then we hear Buddy's voice and it says, "Come in, Yuna. And Yuna stands up and says, "Yuna, reporting in." And then everyone's like, "Yuna!" And then it says, "Chapter 3 complete."
All right. Yeah.
She seems to like bounce back pretty fast from having just come out of a void.
Yeah. A traumatic void like that of being like, oh, the person that I love, wait, he's called himself a different name and he's telling me that he's going to kill the world or whatever.
I get a fiend tail bonus.
That's the same thing that happens with the other cutscene where you call Titus or whatever and he whistles for her and leads her out of there. She just wakes up in the same place. So
that's nuts.
It all ends at the same location.
What's the way that you get that versus not? Just walking around her?
You have to hit the confirm button during the cutscene.
I see.
Just as soon as she says, "I'm so alone," you can start whistling.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's probably part of 100%.
I will be doing that since I have to go back to fucking watch that cutscene anyway. I got to go back to Bevelle anyway and do the Ixion fight again.
But like you said, that is the end of chapter 3.
Yes, Gullwings obtained a fairy tale bonus, and we can save our progress, and that's
fairy tale bonus.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that means, but
fiend tail.
Oh well, what the fuck? Hey, who cares?
It's probably
who fucking cares? Yeah, I don't care.
But that is the end of the chapter.
Yeah, it's a creature creator thing.
So here's the real question. Here's the real difficult part. How do we split apart the next section of gameplay?
I don't know. I haven't got that. I haven't done anything yet.
Yeah. So let me go. Let me look at the
3 months.
Let me look at the Steam guide real quick.
Chapter 4, Celsius. So we're doing some Comsphere stuff, it looks like.
Oh, we are doing some Comsphere stuff. To even say that we're doing some Comsphere stuff is a drastic understatement. So let me give you the gist. This is the lowdown on how the next section of game goes, right? If you're looking for 100%, which that's kind of what we're doing, right? So
yeah, of course,
you basically go starting at the first area. You log into a Comsphere from the Celsius. You watch like a 2-minute scene. You back out. You log back into the same area. You watch another 2-minute scene. You get kicked out. You log back in. You watch another 2-minute scene until no additional 2-minute scenes happen. And how do you know that there are no more scenes? There's no way to know. You just have to read the guide and let it know. And it tells you how many you're looking for. And they don't always happen when you log into the Comsphere. Some of them are like slightly random where you might have to log in a couple times to see it. And it's
that's game design, baby.
It's gameplay, baby. That's good. And it takes like 4 fucking hours to do all these, right. And it's atrocious.
So next week we're checking our voicemail.
Yeah, we're going into our inbox and reading all fucking
inbox
10,000
0.
Yeah.
We basically have like, imagine that we have a voicemail box that could contain like 300 voicemails, and all of them are like 5 minutes long. There's no voice to text feature or anything like that, and we have to actually just sit there through every fucking one of them. And that's how
I can't think of anything. So on at the time of recording this
is worse than the Titans trials.
At the time of recording this, the Elden Ring DLC is coming out in 3 days. I can't think of anything that I would rather do than play this specific mission in Final Fantasy X too. Really short-sighted of the developers to not plan this around Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. But
yeah, it's I mean, look here. So and the structure of this chapter is such that we'll basically watch like 100 fucking plus Comsphere things. Then there is a small middle portion where we get to get out, stretch our legs, and go to the Moonflow. Then we get
Let's
back
all
on
go to the lobby.
yeah, exactly. We have an intermission where we go to the Moonflow.
We get a halftime show.
Yeah.
Then we get back on the Celsius. We watch 100 plus more of these motherfuckers, and then the best scene in the game.
Okay, nice. Well,
so,
sounds good.
How much of that are we going to do at once? I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I guess, beat chapter 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we record next, we'll just go until we don't feel like going anymore, I guess.
I have an idea. You guys don't have to do this, especially Alex. But I will try and do it this way. I will gather notes and do like a Comsphere breakdown kind of thing, where I will just watch the scenes and I will type up notes, and then I'll maybe edit those notes down to be worth talking about or something. Get the bullet points so that way we can at least kind of go through and be like, here's what happens in this, and maybe there'll be some riffs or something, but we'll, could be like 15 minutes of discussion of this shit sucks, or it could be, who knows?
We'll see.
Yeah, the important thing is I will be watching all of these fucking stupid videos probably and taking as many detailed notes as I can.
I hate gameplay.
Yeah, I fucking hate
gameplay.
Yeah. That's why I don't want to play the Elden Ring DLC. That shit looks like it has too much gameplay in it. I would rather just watch people walking around Besaid or whatever. But yeah, we'll figure it out.
I'm looking at some of the in-between Comsphere, like the actual gameplay sections for chapter 4, where it's like, speak to Riku once, speak to brother several times, speak to buddy, now go back to the Comspheres. Like, delightful.
Well,
but then the second song in the game, come on, it's worth it.
All right, well, I'm here for it.
It's worth it.
Yeah, we'll
love the second song in the game. Sorry.
I'm excited. I can't wait to hear Sanctuary.
It's
finally.
It's maybe better than the first song in the game.
I thought you were going to say maybe better than Sanctuary, and I was going to say that's impossible.
I would walk by that.
Yeah,
right,
this is when Waka starts singing "I'm an Island Boy," right?
That's right. He's off our ship now. I keep forgetting that. Like every time I go to rest, I'm like, "Oh shit, where's the Chocobo boy?"
Oh yeah, Clasco.
I thought I picked him up, and I forgot that he already found his thing.
But at least when we're done with chapter 4, we can go to the fun chapter.
Fun chapter.
Oh my god.
We don't have
Carl's
to talk
very
about
TikTok
this.
plugged in. Anyway,
not really. This is an old TikTok, and also everything I know about TikTok is sent to me directly by my fiance, and it's usually just cat videos. And then every now and then I post something that, for some reason, gets a lot of people looking at it. Yeah. And then I don't look at the app again, ever.
You do have a way of logging in and then posting something viral. It's incredible.
It's so stupid.
Congrats on unlocking Erdtree early.
Oh, yeah, thank you. It's 100% real.
Yeah, so that's all I have for this episode. I don't really have any announcements or anything coming up. Do you guys?
No. We did all the exciting things last weekend or whatever.
Yeah, the month that we've been gone, or two, or time, or if you're listening to this in the future, no time has gone by.
Yes.
All the interesting things happened then, so I have nothing to talk about right now.
It's nice seeing you all at my friend's porch.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was a kick-ass porch, kick-ass house.
I have an announcement. I'm going camping. Do not visit me out there, or I will be very weirded out by that, but I just thought you should know.
Chris is like a little cryptid boy.
Well, I'm like a little cryptid walking around naked in the woods.
Boy.
I will be getting a breaded chicken salad at Wawa immediately after the pod today.
Fuck yes. That's the pro move. Anyway, Alex, do you want to spit in this hole?
I mean, that's the first thing I would do if I saw. It's like, I wonder how deep it goes.
For sure.
See how far down it goes.
Yeah, just
throw a few gale down, see what happens. Thank you all for listening.
That's how flans are made and fireflies like inhabit.
Just a loogie. Thank you all for listening, despite probably other things you could be doing.
Yeah. God bless you.
Thank you to Noriko Matsuda and Takahiko Oguchi for the game music. And for those who are wondering, I did the theme music. I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just letting you know. So I'm not forgetting anyone.
Yeah, we get a lot of questions about that. Like, who did that theme music?
Good as hell.
If it's not Night of the Round, it's probably me.
If it's not openly credited, you can assume that it's Alex.
Yeah.
Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to wherever you're listening to us, your podcatcher. You can find us at EveryFNFF on Twitter /X/Blue Sky/Instagram/YouTube. And you can hop right into our Discord where you can complain or worry that we are no longer recording this podcast.
Yeah,
which is an entirely valid concern after not putting anything out.
We genuinely do appreciate that. Sorry that things have been so hectic and stuff that
it doubles as a support group for for grieving the podcast.
Exactly. We had a solid like several years of never missing an episode, and then it was just like
I lost the recording once. It was on a micro SD card, and I found it in a basement at like my job once. I was like, I can't believe I found a recording.
Wow, hell yeah!
I even reached out to like
I remember that.
old guests, like, hey, instead of re-recording, let's just like do a re-record but with guests, so we don't have to pretend like we're having the same conversation again.
I remember that,
but I found it. But you know,
that's how dedicated we used to be. Now look at us.
You know, podcasts are nice, but that's all they are.
Oh, holy shit!
Al Bed saying,
incredible pull.
See you next week.
See you next week.
See you next wink. Maybe. Wink, wink.